we starting?
We are recording, yes.
We are recording. No,
Okay,
we started
wait,
already.
wait.
Hold it. Wait.
You can't start if I'm like, I don't have it on.
June's been playing with toys. I've been sitting here ready, waiting.
Are you serious? What did you do yesterday?
Yeah,
you like
deadly
hung
serious.
up new action
They're not in
figures.
shots, so you've got no evidence. Look, they're good. There's Mandalorian, there's 2 Mandalorian, there's a Transformer, there's Bo-Katan's up there, and Jitsu from Masters of the Universe.
I see. So you're mentioning this so you can claim it back as a business expense because it's been.
It is a business expense. This is the set. What are you talking about? I've hacked the system. I've figured out how to buy toys through business accounts. I mean, this is. I'm building my dream right here. I've told you. Wait till I get my Hot Wheels collection out. I could literally fill a wall with the Hot Wheels collection if I pin them all up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need more pins.
You have too much collections.
No, I don't.
Bring your mic a little bit closer.
There we go. Come on. It's because it's been too long since she's done a podcast. There you go. Point it towards your nose. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
There?
There we go.
Do I gotta do
I don't know, down a bit. Down a bit.
Do I gotta
There
do
we
the fist
go.
thing
There
to
we
make
go.
sure it's okay?
That's it. Yeah? Good?
Yeah.
Am I all right, Jamie?
Yeah.
Of course it is. Anyway, I've got sponsorship reads to do. So, hang on. Wait. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to... Hang on. No, now I need to move it because I'm twisting. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outlaw Picks podcast. This one is on UFC 273, which is a banging card, joined again by Veronica, as you can see, and she's bought her Grogu toy.
I'm just gonna bring it up.
He's awesome. Okay. So 2 sponsors for the podcast today. NordVPN are back with us. So grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/outlawed. You can use the code outlawed at checkout as well for a huge discount on your NordVPN plan. And you get a month free, and you get a free gift. And they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so give it a try. You know why a VPN is useful, to protect your online status and to be able to take digital vacations in other places in case of geo-blocking. You know how it goes. So check out nordvpn.com/outlawed for your discount. And Packed Coffee. Love this stuff. So we have a promo code which is outlawed50, which will give you 50% off your first and third order. So make a pack to make better coffee. If you haven't tried Packed Coffee yet, we'll help you get started with 50% off your first and third order when you create a Packed Coffee plan. So, listen up. Go to packedcoffee.com, PACT coffee.com, and create your flexible coffee subscription. Enter the code OUTLAWED50, outlawed with an ED on the end, 50 at checkout, and you'll get a load of specialty coffees delivered to you. And you can go through and customize your subscription for caffeinated, decaffeinated. Don't say anything this time. We don't have to edit stuff out.
That's what I thought as well.
And you'll get one of these V60 coffee drippers as well, which are fantastic for making your morning coffee in a fancy barista way, like we do in this house. I even have the special kettle, don't I, with the 200-degree mark on it.
Do.
I love it.
You just have it so you can complain if it goes over. You're like, the coffee
course, you don't
tastes
wanna
like
burn
it
the
went
beans.
2 degrees over.
I honestly, like, it was like when we started Full Reptile Collective, because I didn't really used to drink coffee too much. Like, I drank water and juice and tea, and that was it. It's nice and simple. But obviously, when I started to kind of open up my diet, when I wasn't training for fights and stuff anymore, then I was able to start adding different things into my diet, and coffee was one of those things. And I went immediately from not being a coffee drinker to being a coffee snob.
I see.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing as well with the Packed Coffee is you can get it pre-ground. So depending on how you brew your coffee, whether it's cafetiere or machine or AeroPress as you use, they'll grind it ready for that brewing method. Okay, so don't wait. Go to packedcoffee.com and create your coffee subscription. The code is valid when you create your coffee plan for first customers only. It's worth adding that. Okay, should we get started?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Did it first. Okay. Are you watching a fight then?
No.
You were.
Okay, yeah.
You need to pay attention.
I am paying attention.
Stop watching him.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Right.
There was a lot of changes, so a lot of
matter.
last minute.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're here now. Okay, let's get started. Right. First fight of the night is Julio Arce against Daniel Santos. Okay, where are we? Hang on a minute. I've got too many things going on here. I shouldn't be in charge of so
You're
many.
a technology snob now as well.
I shouldn't be in charge of so many different things because I don't feel like I'm responsible enough for all this technology. Okay, right. Where are we? So, Julio Arce, somebody we're very familiar with in the UFC. 17-5 is his record. His opponent, Daniel Santos, is 10-1. Making his debut, is he not, Daniel Santos?
Yes.
He's a bit of a wild man, isn't he?
He is very wild.
There's a lot of like flying knees into level changes and like, I mean, it's not like his striking's reckless, but it's wildly aggressive.
But that's how he spars too. I remember seeing him while I was training in shoot the box in Sao Paulo, and he would just go crazy in like a normal sparring, just like spinning attacks, like flying knees, elbows, like punches, just wild. And he doesn't really mind getting in the pocket and exchanging. And even if he gets hurt, like he would just continue.
Just keep going.
Yeah. But he's one of those guys that's like always at the gym.
Really?
Yeah.
He's only had one decision loss, and he's got a lot of stoppages on his record. His second pro win was a spinning elbow, anaconda chokes, spinning kick to the body. I mean, like he's got 2 spinning back kick finishes on his record. His last fight was an armbar victory on Brave 32. But he has been out for a couple of years. Did you not say he's been in some kind of accident?
No, that was
Somebody
another.
different.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of his training partners that kind of looks like him.
Because I'd like to know why he's been out for so long. It looks like he's been matched 3 times.
Well, if his last fight was with Brave was having some difficulties with matching people during coronavirus because a lot of people that fought in Brave were moved to Aries.
Oh, you know what? So I'm looking at his record now. So his last fight was an armbar victory on Brave 32, as I said. But then his next fight was on Brave 35, and that was cancelled, and the event was cancelled due to coronavirus.
Told you.
Then he was lined up against Marcelo Rojo.
No, Timur Valiev. And Valiev withdrew.
Oh, and then
then
Rojo was the replacement, and then Santos withdrew.
Yeah. Honestly, the way he trains, whatever injury is no surprise.
But that seems like it's a long time since his last outing. It's like
if you have like COVID issues, right? And in Sao Paulo, they had a lot of issues with being able to train.
Yeah.
Because of the COVID stuff. So that I can see that applying. And then sort of waiting between what Brave are going to do. Are you going to get a contract? What's going to happen? And then having a match rescheduled and then an injury. I mean, time kind of flies with stuff like this, unfortunately.
Yeah. So they're both the same height, both 5'7", but Julio Arce has a 3-inch reach advantage. Southpaw v Orthodox.
Yes.
I don't think that makes a difference to Santos, really, does it? He's just going to be wading in regardless.
He don't care.
No, he doesn't care. What are your thoughts on Arce?
I really like Arce. I think he's very intelligent when he fights. He has very good control of like inside the cage, and kind of is less reckless, like focuses a lot on jabs or a throwaway jab or a jab to get you to counter so he can come in with a 1-2, is very aware of that southpaw orthodox game.
Yep.
You know, and he uses, for example, I think it was with Dan Ige that he started to use feints to where Dan was aware of the outside foot game, he then started to make tricks about it. Like, that shows me a lot of fight awareness. And also, I think it was with Ewell.
Oh, Ewell. Andre Ewell. Yeah,
yes.
that was the second round stoppage. That was really nice.
And I loved it because he was like pressuring him and using those jabs to draw out his counter shots. And then when he did, it was at a point where I think he like hit him and Ewell.
Ewell.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Ewok characters in Star Wars. Okay. So anyway, he was just like trying to escape out of the octagon.
Who was?
Oh, why do you do this to me?
Well, because why not?
I'm so bad with names.
Ewell.
Yeah, Ewell. So
Yeah.
Ewell was trying to escape, and then he adjusted to the point where he kind of like intersected him to where it brought him closer to him to land that 1-2. And I thought that was beautiful. So, I really like watching Julio.
Well, like if you look at the run that he's had, so he was on the Contender Series in 2017. He won by second round stoppage. Then his next fight was UFC 220 against Dan Ige, which is a massive like, here you go, welcome to the UFC. And he won by unanimous decision. Then he rear naked choked Daniel Tamor. Then he picked up a loss against Shaman Moraes. And since that guy came into the UFC, Moraes, I remember researching for his debut, and I thought to myself, this guy's going to be problems for everybody. He's a very skilled, well-rounded individual. I think he lost his first two, or just maybe his first. Let me have a quick look. Like, he had a bit of a rough run. Yeah, he did. No, he came into the UFC. He lost his first one against Zabit. That was it. I remember calling that fight now. And then he won 2, and then he lost 2 and got released. But he's in PFL now, doing very well. But Shaman Moraes is a dangerous individual. Lost to him by split decision. And then his next loss after beating Julian Erosa was a split decision to Dawoodu. So it's like he's like alternating wins and losses in his last 6, but when he's losing, it's like he's losing split decisions to good guys.
Yes.
And losing by stoppage to Song Yudong people are expecting big things from that kid anyway, and he is a real heavy hitter. And that was a good back and forth first round. I think it's a big ask for Daniel Santos to come in and take on someone like Arce in their first fight in the UFC.
It kind of reminded me of, because his teammate Nascimento, when he fought, who's it's one of the Nurmagomedov, I think.
Right.
You remember that he was like throwing up submissions, like triangle. Tagir, he fought Tagir.
Yep.
And he was throwing up a lot of submissions and ended up like losing the fight with decision. But that's a tough first opponent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is kind of like a similar thing, but in the striking aspect of it.
And he's coming in after being out for over 2 years. Yeah. And he's coming in against Julio Arce, who's, obviously coming off a loss, but he's comfortable in the UFC, has experienced good success in the UFC. I mean, he's only been stopped once in the UFC, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And then was guillotined by
changed
Kelleher.
His weight class, because he was fighting at featherweight, and then I think he started working with a different nutrition company, and then he dropped down to bantamweight, which was right after his split loss.
Oh, okay. So Ewell was his first fight at bantamweight then.
Yes.
So he's 1-1 at bantamweight now.
Yes. But I think like Song is, just because he has that powerful like punch, it's kind of like getting caught.
Yeah.
In a way.
He's a very skilled fighter as well, but that's the point of difference with Song is he has scary power for this division.
Yeah. And with the amount of like overwhelming pressure and force that Santos comes in with, it might be in a similar UFC like test you situation. See if you got over that problem.
Yeah, but then like if I'm Arce, I'm thinking, okay, my goal is just to get it out of the first round, because that first round's most likely going to be chaotic because Santos is going to want to come in. He's been out for a while, so he's probably going to have a lot of pent up energy and excitement making his UFC debut. I mean, fighting out a shoot box, and they've got that reputation anyway of being a bit wild.
I wonder if he's gonna go blonde with his hair,
do
like
you
that
think?
bleach.
Yeah,
probably.
The whole team, do you think?
Yeah, probably the whole team's gonna do it. They're super into it now.
Yeah.
They think it's like some ritual. It's so funny.
I should have had the same thing with my mohawk back in the day. I should have been like, guys,
the whole team needs to do it.
The whole team needs a red mohawk.
Oh, but that would suck with Ollie because he's bald.
Imagine how big your mohawk. Oh, that would. We'd have to Keith Flint it. We'd have to do the Keith Flint mohawk with the sides. Anyway.
Maybe that's how that came about.
Yeah, maybe. So, which way are you going with this?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Santos.
I knew you were going to go with Santos. Of course you are.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a big step up. I think I'm going to go with Julio Arce.
I do think
he's
so
gonna-
as well, but I think he might catch him in the first round, just
Well, yeah.
like with some wild shit.
For sure. But what I'm banking on is that he does catch him in the first round, but Arce is able to survive it and get it into the second, and then he takes over.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I think is going to
Can I
happen.
add that into my bet? Like,
No.
like I'm going
No,
for
you've made your
Santos,
pick.
but if
No, because you can say that about loads of fights. You like how many fights can you say? Yeah, but I'm going to go for
Every
this
Derek
guy
Lewis
as long
guy.
as it ends in the first round.
yeah.
But if it doesn't, then my pick changes.
Well, I've
as soon as
seen,
the
like,
second round
odds
starts, my pick goes
change.
entirely the opposite
No,
way.
because I've seen when they pull up like betting odds
Yeah, well,
and
you
they
should
go
get
like,
into in-round betting then, shouldn't you?
yeah, but I don't really understand it.
And you don't want to be awake at 4:00 in the morning.
True. Okay, Santos.
Okay, Santos. Arce for me. I'm thinking that the UFC veteran's going to do it. There's a lot of experience in advantage as well.
Yeah,
Okay, next fight.
and reach.
And reach. Here we go. Kay Hansen against Piera Rodriguez. Talk to me.
Well, I'm very excited about Piera because obviously she's Venezuelan and she's had like very similar issues that I've had, which is like living in different places.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's due to like visa issues or something, but just really like having this set as a goal and pursuing it, even if it meant changing countries, changing teams, in order to just like facilitate her skills. She's just a very tough girl, like very tough, durable individual that like isn't scared to get in your face and trade punches and like will sacrifice herself in order to get like a few over you.
Yeah.
You know, plus now over at Black House, I think that team might really benefit her because of Kenny, the wrestling coach.
Yeah.
I feel like he has a similar body type to where he's like short, but like
Short and powerful and stocky.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So his experience with himself can really is it like transition?
Yeah, it will translate. His
Yeah.
experience will translate
onto her. And
Yeah.
and
He
I've
worked a
seen
lot
the
with Paul
difference.
Daly as well, didn't he?
Oh,
Kenny?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
He's one of those wrestling coaches that if an individual feels like if a high level fighter feels like they need to bring someone in to specifically focus on that part of their game, Kenny's one of those guys that is well known for that. And if Kay Hansen obviously is a short, strong wrestler that likes to be in top position.
Yeah, but she's just like I think it was the last podcast that I mentioned because she was on it. She was fighting Jasmine, and
Jesu Devicious.
yeah,
Something
Jesu
like that.
Devicious.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
But she was up
she's-
a weight class in that one.
Yeah,
wasn't
up a
she?
weight, but she kind of does that. She goes like up a weight class, down, depending on how it goes. She'll change and.
She looks like a strawweight though. She did in that fight against Jasmine.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
that,
feel it.
that to me was like the point of difference in that fight. I felt like if she'd have had a bit more strength and horsepower and maybe a bit more weight, she'd have had better look in the exchanges that they were having.
Which is going to benefit her in this fight because
Yeah.
it's kind of similar in where she's going to get wrestled. So if you look at Piera's fight before the Contender Series,
Yeah.
she fought a girl I think from Ukraine or
Yeah,
so
got sick.
yeah, she was very good
sick.
on the ground. You saw that like
That
Piera
went 5
took her
rounds,
down.
that one
Yeah,
did.
it was 5 rounds, and she did great. And she finished it in the 5th round, but it was she was striking her and just like outstriking her, but also kind of bullying her. Bullying her like, yeah, let's go. Like I'm gonna punch your face in. With good combinations, with kind of long combinations. It's not like a 1-2 and then that's it. It's like a lot of lead hooks as well as uppercuts and kicks being thrown in. But when she did get her to the ground, she didn't engage, and she was very disciplined throughout the fight because it was 5 rounds, and the other girl looked really good on the ground.
Yeah.
It was as soon as she got in, she almost had an armbar, almost had a whole bunch of submissions that she did good at maintaining that game plan and maintaining discipline, which I think will help her against Kay, because Kay will try to, I think, in the advantage where she has is on the ground.
Yeah.
And where that she'll want to take it. But
Yeah.
yeah, if Piera is disciplined, she can like push her off, and the reason she ended up getting a ground and pound was because the other girl was going in for takedowns, but she kind of like bullied her down and then with fatigue and everything, started with the strikes, which she does do very powerful. How she ended her last fight in the Contender Series.
Yeah, but that was quite a competitive fight, I thought, and she her wrestling didn't look as good as I think it needs to be against Kay Hansen. So she would need to have improved in order to stop Kay Hansen to stop in order to stop Kay Hansen taking her down, and in order to be able to counter wrestle.
Yeah,
because I thought that's where she looked most tired when she was wrestling. Like she was like posture broken, level changed up against the fence and stuff. And Machado, I thought was, she had good footwork and good striking in that one. Like I could see Kay Hansen, being as lively on the feet, being as elusive in the striking range. Because I will say like Rodriguez is game, but she also is a bit kind of ploddy in the way that she walks people down. Mm-hmm. Like I think if Kay's, quick enough footwork wise, she'll be able to stay away from her, and then she'll be fast enough to transition into takedowns, and that's where we're going to see if Rodriguez's grappling has improved.
Yeah, well, it depends on what round Kay is.
Yeah, like
in her last fight, I think it was the third round where she just decided to put it on, and she did so good.
Yeah,
in comparison to previously. So, yeah. Well, she's 22.
I think Rodriguez will do it.
Yeah.
I think Rodriguez will do it, but I think it's probably going to be a decision.
Yeah,
I think she'll struggle to stop Kay. But I do think she'll be able to. I think she'll be able to defend the majority of takedowns and keep it striking and walk her down. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll see Kay kind of being backed up against the fence and level changing, not because she wants to, but because she needs to.
Yeah, but it's just like there's such an advantage when you don't care if you get punched in the face.
Yeah, it's like Korean Zombie, isn't it?
Yeah,
same as we're going to talk about in a bit.
But especially for women, because women kind of, like, don't want to get punched in the face if you're a girl as much, because who wants to look all like messed up? And that's when the panic takedowns
Goddamn
begin.
Instagram fighters.
It's not about Instagram. He's never faced being a girl, obviously.
I have never. That's one thing I can assure you of. I have never been a girl.
No, but like even if you don't think about it, and like she does do a lot of stuff for Instagram, is what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So that might like trigger in her mind and go like, oh, panic takedown, to which she can defend,
Gotcha.
Muscle down, begin the fight, and kind of discourage her.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which way are you picking? You're going Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Is she going to stop her, or is she going to win a decision?
No, I think she'll win a decision.
Yeah, I was just looking at Kay Hansen. She's only been stopped once, and it was a long time ago. Like almost all of her losses are decisions. Her last 2 losses were decisions.
And you got to think how big Jaku. Her name.
Yeah, Jasuda Vicious.
Yeah, you got to think how big she is in comparison to Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's why I think Rodriguez will struggle to stop her, but I do think she'd be able to boss her around a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a good fight, that one. Okay, I think we're both going for Rodriguez on that one. Mm-hmm. Right. Fluffy against Fremd. I cannot, and you've not watched In Betweeners, so you won't get it, but Jamie's sitting there, will get it. I can't not think of In Betweeners when I think of his name. His name's Josh Fremd. But you remember the Friends? He's like taking the piss out of him. Yeah, I don't know. I keep going back to that.
I feel like
someone
you should
watching
clip this and tag him, and I'm sure that he'll be your biggest fan.
Someone watching this will know what I'm talking about. I can't. It's like Matt Damon and his name being ruined by Team America, right? You can't think of Matt Damon without going Matt Damon. You can't do it. Like Team America have ruined his brand forever. I feel the same thing with this guy and with In Betweeners. Someone watching will know what I'm talking about. Oh, this is where we need to airdrop Oxley in for a moment, because he'll know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. You need to watch In Betweeners. I have said this before. It is great, isn't it? It is really good.
This is the second time he's disappointed that I'm not Owen, by the way.
Not at all. Not at all.
On the podcast.
I'm just realizing that, there's
There's what?
Yeah. I have a whole back catalogue of British TV references, which you just won't get because you've only lived there for 2 years. Okay, anyway. Fluffy Hernandez against Josh Fremd. I very much enjoyed Fremd's last fight. It was on... 1 second, I will pull his record up. It was a real back and forth one. He was under a lot of pressure at certain times in the fight. The guy he was fighting had really nice counter striking and boxing. where are we? Joel Bauman, it was, FAC 12. He won by rear naked choke in the second round. Like, no hooks, rear naked choke, was just like clamped onto him with his knees and strangled him. And then as his opponent rolled, he went kind of like half body triangle. He did the leg across the waist part, but without hooking the leg. And it was just a really nice finish after the fight being really like, you know, like a real back and forth, good striking exchange. He's only got one loss on his record. Is that right? No, sorry, 2 losses on his record. One was a decision loss from back in 2018, but his other loss, his most recent one, middle of 2021, was against Gregory Rodriguez, who's in the UFC now. Lost by punches in the first round. But he's won 2 fights since then. Like, the talk on the commentary in his last fight was like, he's probably ready for a step up now if he's ever going to be. And I think this is an interesting one because Hernandez generally gets a bit beaten up and then has a submission that he pulls out of the bag like he did against Rodolfo Vieira.
I still can't get over that.
I know.
Oh, that's so
It's
sad.
brilliant to watch. I love it. I just love watching those kind of things, especially when it's like, especially when you can see someone has just thrown everything in the kitchen sink at their opponent and it's just not quite worked out. And then they've got those, like they come out. You saw it at Cage Warriors, the main event on Saturday with Jati Milan. Like, he wrestled the fuck out of Christian Leroy Duncan in the first round and just couldn't control him enough to do anything. Came out the second round. The first thing he did, he walked out to the center of the cage and he just went, like, shook out his arms. And I'm like, he's doomed. There's 4 more rounds. He's doomed. And like, you saw the same thing with Rodolfo Vieira. All of a sudden, he's fucking He-Man looking physique looks like it's just like on fire. Like his whole body must like you know what it's like. You know what you feel like. You just look at him and you think to yourself, oh my god, he's in so much physical pain right now. Like,
that's one thing I'll say that I can see more from like the commentary.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're at a weird angle because normally if you're watching the fights it's like this or all cameras are forward, but in the commentary since you're like right behind, you look up and you can see how fucking exhausted they actually are.
Yeah.
Like when they're like toughening it up for the camera and then they look down like
yeah.
Holy
yeah, it's like
crazy.
when people, like, there was a guy on the Cage Warriors, he took a short notice one against Matt Bonner on, was it Friday night, and like poor guy was just spent after the first round.
Oh, the Portuguese guy,
yeah,
that was offering you stuff because you were puking in the
bus.
bus. Yeah.
He tried so fucking hard in that first round and struggled, and yeah, I felt bad for the guy because he just walked back to his corner and just like collapsed in the corner like a fucking dead teddy bear. And he was like, oh, no more.
I feel like this whole part should be clipped and be like tangent. And now about the fight.
Okay, yeah, where were we? So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's like Hernandez is 8-2 against 9-2. Mm-hmm. 6'4" for Josh Fremd, so he has a decent height advantage. We don't have a reach stat on him right now because he's making his UFC debut, so that's not been measured yet. But I would imagine at 6'4" he's gonna have a longer reach than 75. But we will find that out. I also 4 stoppages for Fremd as well as 3 submissions. But then obviously Hernandez's game is much more weighted in his submissions, neck attacks, anacondas, etc. What do you reckon?
Well, what I found interesting was that Hernandez's 2 losses were due to like body shots. Even if the fight didn't end like that, like for example, with Marcus Perez, it ended in second round anaconda, but in the end of the first round, he got hit with a body shot that if the round wouldn't have been over, the fight would have been finished, right? And then against Kevin Holland, it was the same, like a body shot to a finish. So I find that maybe he like that is like a weaker area in him, which is like the body. And when Josh Fremd fought, what was his name? Goosey? He had sort of like a half Nelson on him and just unloading crazy amounts of knees that ended his opponent. So I feel like if he uses that approach to attack the body and really hurt him in that aspect, that he can take away so much of Anthony's like cardio power. like against Rodolfo Vieira, he was able to like outwork him, but maybe with body shots, that advantage wouldn't be there as much.
Yep.
Yeah, and Josh, like, he throws like loads of kicks as well, like loads to the lead leg, whether it's calf or a little bit higher. And
he does leave his head on the center line a lot when he kicks, don't he? That's one thing I noticed against Joel.
He got like right crossed. He has a nice like Cuban hook.
You just punched your damaged knuckle.
I did. I punched it and I was like, oh, you idiot. Again.
It's just another reason to hate beans, right?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. You don't have to bring it up. Like, nobody needs to know.
Okay, so which way are you thinking this is going to go?
I'm going to go for Anthony.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go the opposite way.
No, I feel like Anthony just moves a lot better boxing-wise, like slip and like dips really well and comes in with attacks. And that's where I feel like Josh has had difficulties, especially with those kicks. Like you said, like he does sometimes do them in the center line. So I feel like Anthony might catch him there. And he has good enough jiu-jitsu defense to, get away from Fremd. So I'm going Anthony.
Okay, fair enough.
Plus, Josh is a late replacement to Duplessis.
Yeah.
Who was then changed to fight Gastelum and then is no longer on the card. That sucks so bad. But
I think this guy knows. I mean, like I said, they even said it in the commentary during his last fight. At the end of his last fight after he won, they were like, he might be now ready to be called up for a late replacement, so he's got to stay ready.
Okay.
Like, I think he's kind of known that he might be on the other end of the phone to the UFC at some point soon.
Yeah, but it's not the same though.
No, it's not. But then sometimes it works out better. I mean, you think Bisping walked off a movie set and then 2 weeks later he won the world title, and funnily enough, this is Bisping, this silhouette here.
I know we talked about it last time because it looks kind of strange.
I just can't not see him when I see it. I'm like, oh shit, Anthony Hernandez is fighting Bisping. Yeah, I think Fremd's gonna do it.
Yeah, it's like the weird neck and the ears.
It's because I know he's pulling that mean mug face. That's what it is. Hang on a minute. Oh shit, I zoomed in now.
You're giving him eyebrow advantage at this point.
That's how he's looking right now. Look, there we go. His nose is too big. Honestly, I could do this forever. This could be the whole show. That looks pretty good. This could be the whole show. I could just do this. I could give him a hat.
Outlaw Tangent podcast.
Anyway, so
give him an Arby's hat.
I'm going with Bisping. I'm going with Josh Fremd on this one. I think he's going to do it.
All right.
I think he's primed and ready. And I find it very difficult to pick someone whose nickname is Fluffy and gets stopped with body shots or hurt with body shots.
Yeah, but have you seen the comedian Fluffy? He's awesome.
I haven't, no.
He's so funny. I'll show you later.
Okay. Heavyweights. Alexey Oleynik against Jared Vanderaa or Vanderaa.
Like an unfortunately looking Tom Hardy. It's like Tom Hardy went bad. Like the ugly cousin.
Well, at least he's always got options for stunt doubling.
Isn't Tom Hardy like 5'7" though?
He is, yeah, but then, they made him out to be much bigger when he was Bane, right? If they need another Bane, they could always draft him in and
Chubby
Tom
Bane.
Hardy could just do the voice. Okay. You're the one that's tangenting now, for fuck's sake. Right. Alexey Oleynik with a record of 59, 16-1 against Jared, who's got a record of 12-7. Has a 2-inch height advantage, but they both have a 80-inch reach. Vanderaa's coming in at the top of the weight class, of course, at 265 plus, and Oleynik's coming in around 240 with his 44-year-old dad bod and 46 wins by submission. Make a fucking argument for Vanderaa, because I'm not going to buy it. There's no way that Alexey Oleynik is losing this fight.
You know what sucks for Alexey is that he's almost had his 60th win.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
just keeps evading him.
Yeah, like the last 3 losses, like, so close to the... Because it's like kind of a milestone if you think about it.
Yeah, I think he's passed a few milestones already.
Yeah, but still.
He's a ranked heavyweight at 44 years old. Just goes to show you how much experience pays off, though, doesn't it? Where is he in the rankings? Let's have a quick look. Oh, okay. No,
I kind of feel like in this picture,
he's not
Jared's stomach's
anymore.
been airbrushed.
Do you think?
Yeah.
He looks very waxed. He looks He looks waxed less on that picture than it does on my iPad. He looks waxed and spray tanned.
Oh, Jamie's agreed.
Oh, Jamie's waxed him and spray tanned him. What, before you took the photos? You could have at least done the same thing with Alexey Oleynik if you were going to do it. Give them both the same treatment. Okay. What is going on today?
Jared. So, argument for Jared, you asked me.
Yeah, what?
Okay, you asked me, make an argument.
Make an argument.
Forget what he says. Dude.
Make an argument for Jared then.
Okay. He mixes up his kicks pretty well with his striking. Mm-hmm. I feel like that. He throws like very hard kicks.
Yep.
And in the pocket does have power.
Yep.
And can, like add some hooks in and stuff.
Yep.
The problem is when I saw him against Spivak is that he was under control in the first round for I think like 4 minutes and something,
mm-hmm.
and in the second round almost 4 minutes, and then got ground and pound, which is a danger that I see against Alexey.
Yeah.
But obviously, I believe the biggest danger is the knockout power from a heavyweight that I don't think Alexey has as much. Yeah, like
yeah,
obvious.
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
Okay.
He's very awkward and he's very underpowered for a heavyweight. But it's just not his thing, is it? Like it's like he's never even really bothered to learn striking because he never felt like he'd be any good at it.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna submit you anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the thing is, he does, because most of the time heavyweights gas or they get clinched, and he can pull. He can. He's the only fighter I've seen in the UFC to pull mount. Because he's got a submission. It's ridiculous. His ability to Ezekiel choke.
Oh, it was like one of the fights. It was Joe Rogan, and he was like, he can do it because he has orangutan arms.
Yeah, but like 18-inch reach is a long reach.
Yeah.
But he's just it's not even just that choke. He's got the submissions he's got on his record are vast and very, very diverse. He's got a really, really dangerous submission game, no matter where it goes. And Vandera's got, 20% takedown defense? 20% takedown defense.
Yeah.
Like, the only time he was clinched against Arlovski was really because they would just want to slow the fight down. I don't think Alexey Oleynik's going to play around trying to strike with him. I think he's either going to be moving back and letting Vanderaa walk into him so he can clinch him, or he's just going to maul him forward against the fence and start trying to sub him from standing. I don't know. I feel like Vanderaa 12-7. Like he's not a top tier heavyweight. He can be effective because he's a big dude who's got some decent striking skills.
Yeah.
But Alexey Oleynik
most of
knows
his
how to win.
effectiveness has been before the
UFC. Yeah.
Yeah, and the UFC he's just beat Tafa, which is kind of impressive because Tafa is like tough dude.
Yeah.
He was able to beat him like in the pocket and stuff.
Yeah.
But he did get that nasty cut on the side from just a return shot. But I do feel like he's going to struggle on the ground massively with Alexey. So I'm picking Alexey.
I'll take his performance against Tafa and raise it. Alexey Oleynik against Mark Hunt, rear naked choke in the first round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I see those kind of things, like Travis Brown, neck crank. Victor Pesta was an Ezekiel choke from mount. Crazy. He's got a split decision win over Fabricio Verdum as well. Like it's not like he's a sucker. Submitted Krokop, submitted Jeff Monson. Holy shit! Submitted Jeff Monson. Like, how do you rear naked choke a dude that's got no fucking neck? Honestly, I picked him up from the airport once. He fought in Cage Warriors. He was Cage Warriors heavyweight champ for a short period of time. And, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah? Fucking waterboarding yourself. Jesus.
You know what I did?
That's what happens when you let your corner team give you the fucking water. You did it to yourself. This is why you hand the water to the fight. But although if it's Veronica, you don't hand the water to the fighter.
No, you know what I thought of? In Not the Big Mouth, the new show.
Yeah.
Where you were
What's
calling
it,
him
Sugar?
the Chugger.
What's it called? Human Resources.
Yeah, so
Brilliant.
that noise came in, and I'm like, oh, he's probably thinking the Chugger in his head.
They're all thinking the Chugger. All of them. Fuck.
That's not
Honestly,
a good name.
the amount of times I've almost swerved off the road because I'm thinking, oh shit, there's a fucking something's leaking. I'm like, oh no. Like,
I was just desperate because I was about to cough.
So you thought, I'll drown myself quickly and save the embarrassment of coughing on fucking podcast.
Yeah, COVID and stuff,
Oh, Jesus.
Listen,
You
we're
all right?
both going with him anyway.
Oh, yeah? Yeah? I thought you were making a...
I already did.
But you didn't buy it, though. You didn't believe yourself.
No, you said make an argument, not
Okay.
convince yourself.
Okay, so we're going Alexey Oleynik then.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Right, where are we at? Oh, this is an interesting one. So you were listening to an interview with Vinc Pichel yesterday, weren't you?
I was.
Because he was sounding very confident that he's got enough wrestling to deal with Mark Madsen. Mark O. Madsen.
Yes. So
These
I will say I'm
just
gonna
don't see it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. The mustache advantage.
it's like one super eyebrow.
Yeah.
It's like a lip
It's
brow.
like a monobrow. But he does say that he's gotten more attention from his mustache than from his fight career. Can you believe that?
That's not good, is it?
That's not good, but I mean, it just goes to show you that that's an advantage.
I like the fact that both of these guys are in their late 30s.
Yeah.
Like Mark Madsen's a fucking lunatic. He is like a born competitor. Like when he made his UFC debut, it was like the first time he'd made 155 in about 7 years. And he even showed up to his fighter interview in a suit, shirt and tie. Honestly. Like he was everything was like absolute pro. Like you can tell this dude's a fucking Olympian. The way he shows up, he's like, he makes everybody else look like fucking teenage stoners. Honestly, he's like, there, ready, answers to questions, where's the media, what's next, here's my hydration shit, this is the weight I'm at, this is how I'm going to cut weight. Honestly, everything has got nailed down. I appreciated him when he was coming through Cage Warriors as well, but he's a savage.
Plus, he just moved over like to America to train because he's been training with Kevin Gastelum at Fight Ready.
Oh, that's a good move.
Yeah, and he said that he had analyzed all of it, and he said that was the best place for him, and he's gonna make a 2-year title run.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, he's like put everything in. He's like, if I've moved and I've moved my family and all this, with how comfortable I am in Denmark, you best believe that I'm coming for it. And it's an interesting, it's an interesting move for him to go there because it's sort of like similar, although it's different type of wrestling. It's sort of similar. And with Vinc, what he was saying was like he has a lot to prove in this fight because both of his losses have been due to wrestling, and that's his only losses. He lost to a Greco guy and Gillespie.
Yeah, Gillespie.
That just like out wrestled him.
Yeah, that's going to be similar to what's going to happen here.
And have you seen some of like the throws that Mark does?
Yeah,
dude. If he just did this around any part of my body, I would be flipping out internally.
He's lethal. He really is. Like watching what he did to people on Cage Warriors was he just manhandles people, and like you've got to think. So he was an Olympic silver medalist at the Rio Games in 2016 at 75 kilos, and he would have been as lean and as shredded as he is now. So he's been wrestling with the best guys in the world, 5 kilos heavier than he's coming in at for this fight. I think Vinc he's got good striking. I think he's got decent wrestling, and I think obviously he's got some good experience in the UFC as well. But I just can't pick anybody against Mark Madsen. Yeah, no chance.
Well, Vinc has recently moved to, not recently, but it's his second camp at Fight X. So and he does have a KO like backpedaling, which he may catch Mark if he gets too crazy. The only thing that I've seen, because I saw with Marcel, which is one of the heavyweights that fights at Aries, which is also competes world level in Greco-Roman, is that the amount of power they're able to generate is insane. Yeah. And it transfers over to their submissions, like the chokes, like Mark has, like guillotine. You got to think. They can just barely grab you and flip you over. Yeah. The amount of power that is, like, if they have the neck for a second, is crazy. And they're able to transfer it really well. A lot better than freestyle wrestling guys to KO power. Just because it's so, like, upper body.
A lot of talking and twisting and stuff. So check this out. Danish Wrestling Federation. So in 1999, he won a bronze medal at 54 kilos. Then 2 years later, he was at 69 kilos. And from that point on, from 2001 to 2017, he won gold at every time he entered. 69, 74, 74 kilos, 84 kilos for a few years. Then he went up to 96 kilos in 2010. Then back down to 80 kilos for 2015 to 2017, and just picked up gold medals every time.
You can tell, like, he's...
Dude's scary.
Yeah.
The dude's lethal. And the thing is as well, like, the other thing, as you said, so, like, he's moved to the US. He's been training with Martin Kampmann for years. He was a fantastic striker and MMA fighter. 37, knows he's probably got 2-3 years to run at the title. He's going to do everything in his power. And when you mark Madsen, that power, that psychological determination is a superpower in its own. Yeah. I like the confidence I was hearing from Pichel in that interview, but I just don't think he's going to be able to deal with what Mark Madsen brings. Yeah. He's going to have to really, really battle for this fight to be won by decision. I think he's going to struggle with Madsen. I'm picking him by decision.
I'm picking Madsen by stoppage.
Really?
Stoppage, yeah.
I think he'll struggle to stop Pichel unless he really is able to ragdoll him. And I do think Pichel's tough and wily enough to be able to, create some resistance in the exchanges. Yeah. But
well, he has great cardio and has like kind of drawn that out of his opponents and worn them down and taken over. But I don't think that's going to be a possibility against Mark.
No.
No. That's not just a game plan you put against an athlete like that.
Yeah. Scary dude. Mark Madsen for me. Okay. Mickey Gall against Mike Malott.
Yes.
What do you reckon?
Mickey, another one that changed camps recently, is now training at Stanford MMA.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like... just feels very grateful, when he talks about his teammates. It's like, oh, they're all killers and they're all studs and all this. Oh my God, he said a joke that because I was watching his interview and he said a joke about the Will Smith Chris Rock thing, but it was like one of those jokes that was like a little bit too far that you only tell your mates and you wouldn't say on the interview. And then the guy there just kind of went, like, didn't say nothing, and then he was just kind of like laughing, like, oh yeah, I probably went too far. but before he was like, oh, you know what, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And I'm like, I've had so many of those moments. So many same reactions.
Yeah, good. At least you didn't say them though. Okay. I've enjoyed watching Mike Malott's back catalogue. I think he's a tough test for Mickey Gall. Like, I thought Mickey looked better. I thought he looked improved against Alex Morono. I just think Morono he's like a bit of a Brian Barberena. He's well skilled everywhere, and he's able to, like, kind of through like maturity and logic figure out a lot of these other fighters. And I think that's what happened in the Morono fight. He just looked to be a few steps ahead of Mickey Gall. But I thought Gall's striking did look better in that one. I think the other thing that I find odd is Mike Malott used to be down as a featherweight.
Yeah, I had that. Well, you got to think about when he made his like first fight, his like debut and stuff in comparison to now. Like, he has grown up.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. I was looking through his career. So, like, he turned pro in 2011.
Yeah.
And he went 2011. He had 2 fights. Then he had a fight in 2013. And then 2014, and they were all at lightweight. Sorry, no, they weren't. They were mostly at featherweight. He had 1 at lightweight, and then he lost to Hakeem Dawodu by first round stoppage. Although again, it was a good performance up until the point where he got stopped. And then at some point, he just kind of shifted up. He went lightweight and then welterweight. And I mean, yeah, he's been welterweight since 2020. I don't know. I don't know how familiar he can be with that kind of size when he was a featherweight. It's a lot of weight to gain, going from 145 to 170, and dealing with, like Hakeem Dawodu's one type of size of individual, and Mickey Gall's an entirely different thing.
Yeah, Mickey Gall's pretty.
I mean, they're
Pretty
like
massive.
6'1" against 6'2". Mickey Gall's got an inch in height and reach. I don't know. I feel like Mike Malott's gonna look a lot smaller than him in there.
Yeah.
Like Mickey, there's no way Mickey Gall could make featherweight. Can you imagine him trying?
No, he
But
wouldn't.
Mike Malott was comfortable at featherweight.
But Mickey Gall reminds me kind of like a Nate Diaz type of like long,
yeah,
lanky body, but a little bit more well built. And
it suits
Mike,
his style though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But it's not like Mike looks like he's gone up the weight class because he's pulled a what is that fighter that just got really fat?
Oh,
Josh
Paddy.
No, I couldn't believe how fucking big his head was.
he was literally like, we were sitting there in the back, like the guys were warming up on Friday night, and like he was literally like he'd come into the room with like 2 or 3 boxes of stuff stacked up, like what was it, like fried chicken and chips and stuff, and he'd sit there on one of the benches in the gym and eat it, and then like 20 minutes later he'd like disappear again, and then he'd come back with another lot. Like I honestly don't know how he did it. Like, I used to gain weight after fights, no doubt. Like I've gone from 170 on the scales to, you know, like what, maybe 6 weeks later being like 220. Mm-hmm. So that's a decent weight gain. But obviously I cut down to 170, so I was back up to 185 by fight time.
Yeah,
back up to 190. Really. So I mean, I guess 30 pounds still. But Paddy's like, it's ridiculous the speed at which he gains the weight. That's the bit I don't understand.
Well, you did tell him, you were like, oh, you must still feel on like cloud 9 and stuff. And what did he say? He was like, oh, I haven't noticed because I've just been focused on eating. I just haven't been. No, I like my head straight down to eating. And I was speaking to Molly right before some of the fighters came out, and then
Molly stayed in shape.
Yeah, like, Molly's in good shape.
She's
and she was
ready
like,
to go again.
like at this level, you have to like keep in shape and stuff. And then Paddy walks in with like another burger and stuff. And she's like, you're going to have another burger. And like, he was just like in the sauce, putting it in his face.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Happy about it as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's like a thing, isn't it? It's like, look, like I saw the next day after Cage Warriors, like photos of him like on the scales at UFC London, and then like yesterday seen at Cage Warriors, he's like.
But I do feel like he gains a lot of weight in his face.
Oh, he
that
does.
Makes it look a lot worse because his face gets really, really swollen.
Yeah, definitely. He's fucking funny. Makes me laugh. Okay. Which way are you going on this one? So Mike Malott has just come off his Contender Series win. He had a 39-second guillotine.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was lovely. It's not, you know, it's just a nice finish. He's got a rear naked choke finish in the first round from that. Lots of first round finishes. It might be quite a chaotic first round, but I feel like Mickey Gall's, especially coming off his last fight against Morono, this is a different thing. Like, this guy's either going to be legit and he's going to be able to stop Mickey Gall in the first round, or Mickey Gall's UFC experience and maturity is going to show through. Yeah. And I say maturity, they're both the same age. They're both 30, but there's a maturity that comes with fighting in the UFC, you know, and I think Mickey Gall's got that. I certainly saw that in his last fight against Morono, even though he lost. You know, his Jordan Williams fight looked really good. Salim Touari is no easy fight, and I thought he looked fantastic in that fight as well.
Well, that's why I'm kind of excited to see, I am excited to see him with his move to Stanford MMA, because when you want to be around, you know, like the people that you grew up with and you've trained with and you have this loyalty to them, the only issue is you have the problems of finding training partners and other things that can be facilitated elsewhere, that you feel like this connection bond to, like you're like locked into them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which way you go?
I'm gonna go with Mickey Gall.
Yeah.
I do like Mike, and I like in his Contenders fight, he had a guillotine, went down, adjusted the grip, then chased the submission, which I absolutely loved. But something that Mickey mentioned was like, he's kind of a grappler just like I am. I'm just a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And although Mike's been in the scene, right, like he's been coaching and really studies his opponents, from things that I've heard him say, he like takes his time to being a coach has translated into his fighting career, I do believe. And it was like, I think his third fight that he like spent the money he was going to get in his purse to fly the guy out to fight. He's like, I do it for free because I love it. And I love that. But I just think that experience of fighting so long in the UFC and at that level is just going to show now with Mickey. Plus, I will say Mickey's pretty awesome. Like during the time that Susie, the makeup artist, was sick, he was one of like the most vocal persons about it. So like I just gained a lot of like love and respect for him.
He's definitely grown up a lot since he joined the UFC.
Yeah,
he has. I'm picking Mickey Gall. I think UFC experience is going to be a benefit to him here. Interestingly, I didn't know this. His nickname is Binnerface. His middle name, sorry.
Binnerface.
Binnerface. Michael Binnerface Gall. That'd be a good show. We could do like fighters' names. Like Forrest Griffin's middle name is something like Filigree or something.
Doesn't Michael Bisping have a funny one?
Yeah, I think he does. There's loads of fighters that have got like a really interesting middle name. Like Michael Binnerface Gall is his name. Binniface. Oh. Binnerface. Very strange. Yeah. I'm sure.
Is that going to be like a weird middle name advantage or something?
I'm sure Forrest... I'm going to look it up right now. I'm sure Forrest Griffin's got an interesting one. It's like Esther Gall. I think that's what it is.
Oh, Bisping's is Gavin Joseph.
Gavin, I was just looking that up.
Joseph.
That is pretty weird, though.
Forrest Griffin. I'm sure it's it. I'm sure his name is... Or maybe he's had it changed. I'm sure it's like Esther Gall or something. It's like a very unique name. Anyway, so Mickey Gall, right? Yeah, we're moving on. Let's move on.
This podcast is going to be like 3 hours long.
Okay, this is an interesting scrap. Aspen lad against Raquel Pennington. Kind of feel like the same comment stands in this one. I think Raquel Pennington's experience in the UFC and against high level opposition, even though it's not always been successful for her. I'm thinking Raquel's going to be able to do this.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially after Aspen Lad's last performance.
Yeah. Well, she's back down again, isn't she, at this one? So
she is back down.
Didn't she miss weight, or she made weight but was unwell and then...
Yeah, I think... Well, she's had weight problems several times. There's one time where she had to like fully undress, and then they had her pose, but she couldn't step back on to the scale to pose, and she just looked like, I'm sorry, I can't. I can barely hold it together.
Yeah. So then she was taken out of that fight, and then she fought like a week or two later at featherweight against Norma.
Yes.
And obviously, she lost that one, right?
Yeah. Well, it was just a lot of like just solid jabs that she struggled with, which I feel like Raquel has really good.
She's got good boxing.
Yeah, she's got good boxing. I guess the only danger that I see in her facing Aspen Ladd is her rushing in too much into the fight and then getting clinched up and muscled down, because those are the takedowns where Raquel Pennington struggles the most, when they just kind of body lock, whether it's double unders or over under, and you just like clock turn them. That's the name, right?
Yep.
You like clock turn them down, and Aspen Ladd has such good heavy top pressure, heavy ground and pound that in those moments she can really take advantage and maybe not let Raquel get back up, which she has been in those positions where the bell has saved her, and next round we start again, and she won't put herself there, but that opportunity can be made, and Aspen Ladd can capitalize on it.
Yeah, I feel like Raquel Pennington is like that top tier bantamweight that's just not quite good enough to compete with the very top few.
Yes.
And I feel like Aspen Ladd, she was on that trajectory to get right up there and then has stumbled. And it might be struggles with the weight class or whatever. She might be kind of a bit caught between, or just not have enough discipline with her diet to make sure that she's, staying on top of it all the time. But
she just looks like she's naturally like a thick girl. I don't see that as much with men, but with women, you kind of either have like a metabolism that's like great or like you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's just like don't look at that, don't look at that, don't look at that, and it becomes such a mental like struggle, which I'm pretty sure she feels, because she looks like she's a strong girl, like naturally strong, naturally can do a lot of stuff, but also naturally gains weight very easily. And with the thought of, I'll just cut it down. I did 10 kilos last time. I can do that much. And with menstrual cycles, that gets very complicated when you get closer to it when you're playing that water game, which several female fighters have had issues with that.
Yeah.
Another cool thing about Raquel Pennington is that she has really good tie clinch knees.
Yes.
Which Aspen lads struggle with against Norma in her last fight, with the knees to the bodies, followed with the elbows. And
if you've had a hard weight cut, you've got to think knees to the body are not going to feel great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she has those great, like, just muscle up submissions, like front headlocks, bulldog chokes. So all of those are really available for a tired, sloppy takedown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Her last fight was Macy Chasson was a guillotine choke in the second.
Yeah. And Chasson's
think,
really good as well.
Yeah.
Really technical.
Yeah. I mean, I think Raquel's, like I said, I think she's good enough to beat everybody apart from that top tier. You know, I mean, you look back at her last few losses, and it's Amanda Nunes and Germaine, and you know she was 5th round against Nunes, decision against Germaine, decision against Holly Holm. It's not like she's not tough enough to push these fighters, but she's just not quite good enough to beat them.
But they're all like strikers as well, like really good strikers. Like Germaine, getting that match is horrible.
Yeah, and you know, I think Raquel's going to do it. I think Aspen lad's good, but I think she's a little bit reckless, and I think that could cost her because she doesn't cut people off. She follows.
Yeah,
like you'd see her just kind of walking in circles, chasing people around, and Raquel Pennington's got good boxing skills as well. I think she's too wily for her. I think she is.
I saw her fight against Norma at double speed.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah,
just and you saw it.
It's crazy how much more you can see patterns at a different speed to the actual fight.
The other thing that really concerns me, and this is a rule for everybody, and this is a note for those young fighters out there, when you're posing for your first few fights, make sure you can make a fist properly. If you look at Aspen Lad's Tapology photo, her hands are like that. Like, I am not going to be threatened by someone that's going to break their own fucking hands punching me in the head. Do you know what I mean? It like make a fist. I see it all the time. I see it like crooked, like...
Yeah, but she was like smiling as well. She didn't want to seem too manly.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah.
You know?
But that's not an excuse to not make a proper fist. Come on.
It's like kind of like trying too hard. Like,
yeah, but that's believable.
What's up? I'm gonna mess you up. What?
That's not believable either. You're gonna break your wrist doing that because you fucking curled inwards.
Yeah, I'm doing Nate Diaz.
Okay, right. Raquel Pennington. Next one. Who are we on to now?
Jairzinho.
Oh, this is a banger. Well, Marcin Tybura is a little bit hittable for me in this fight. I think if he can get this fight to the floor, he has a huge advantage.
Yes.
I think if he can get in top position, he'll get a TKO finish or a rear naked choke when Jairzinho is trying to escape. But I also think he's probably going to struggle to take Rozenstruik down. I don't think. I mean, he's going to have to really hustle for these takedowns, and I think Rozenstruik's he's a little bit shorter and stockier, and he's got a lower center of gravity. I think he's a big puncher as well, which makes that transition into close range really dangerous for Marcin.
What I find alarming about Marcin, which I mentioned to you before, is the way he covers up from shots.
Yeah,
he kind of does like an across the body thing like that to where somebody at such a high level of striking, like, do you say Jairzinho?
Jairzinho, yeah.
Jairzinho, like, yeah, somebody like that would just tee off on you with a guard like that.
Yeah, he's had a full career as a kickboxer. Rozenstruik
yeah, exactly.
I'll pull up his
he's
record.
in kickboxing and stuff, right? Like
K1.
Like,
yeah, I'll pull up his record. But that, like you said, like the way, I mean, and he's got a big body as well. There's a lot to cover. And Rozenstruik's not just going to attack his head. He's going to look for targets. He's going to work the body. He's going to kick the legs. He'll bring in knees as well. But he will also wait for his moment. Like, you remember the Overeem fight where he was kind of pushed around a bit and bossed in that fight up until the last, 15 seconds? And then he practically split his face in two.
It was the last 4 seconds.
4 seconds. Crazy.
Because I remember I heard like the
clapper, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that lip thing. That was crazy.
That was nasty.
That was disgusting.
Yeah. That was.
Because, like, DC was like, I don't know if they should have stopped it. And then he saw the replay with the lip going out. And he was like, definitely stopped it.
Yeah. Fucking over him walking around like a drunk guy that's just been hit by a bus and is not quite sure what's happened. He's like, what?
That was disgusting.
Stop. Hold still. Stop speaking.
Oh, I feel like you should like bring it up.
You know what was crazy? I saw him a week later. It was a week, maybe 2 weeks later. He was doing the fan Q&A in, I think it was in Korea. And I'm like, how the fuck has he healed so fast?
They were calling him like Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah. It was ridiculous how he healed so quickly. Because it was just, it was bad. It was bad. Yeah, his kickboxing record, Rozenstruik's kickboxing record is 76-8. And he's got 64 knockouts out of 76 wins.
Jesus.
He's an assassin. I love Marcin. I'm friends with his manager, and I would love to see him be successful. But I think this is a really rough fight for him. I think Rozenstruik's striking is deadly, and I think it's going to be very difficult to get him to the floor. He's got 75% takedown defense, Rozenstruik. He throws less than 3 strikes per minute, and he knocks almost everybody out.
Probably the only like 25% less was against Curtis Blade.
Yeah.
Which is
respectable, isn't it? Because
that's what he does.
Yeah. So which way you going?
I'm gonna go with Jairzinho.
Rozenstruik. Yeah, that's a pretty easy pick, I think, that one, to be honest. Okay, this is an interesting one. Ian Garry, the future, against Darian Weeks, who I guess is the present. Or it could be the past after this weekend. We don't know. We'll know in a week's time. Okay, it's fine. We can just edit that bit.
Yeah.
You stay out of this.
Okay,
right. Ian Garry. So Ian Garry is obviously, he's undefeated, 8-0, came through Cage Warriors, very slick striker, very smart delivery of his techniques, the way he sets up his right high kick. And he was Rostam Makhman on Cage Warriors, and he set him up perfectly for that high kick.
That guy is really hairy, by the way.
Yeah, mad hairy, right?
Or like if you had to grapple with him and just think about his sweaty hair going in your mouth, it'd be disgusting. Like there should be a rule that you'd have to, if it's that much, you have to wax it off, because that's like, that's not okay.
Maybe he's got the body hair advantage.
Yeah, that's cheating. That's like having bad odor trying to like.
It does
win.
look like he's wearing a shirt when he's not wearing a shirt. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, he was the winner of IMAF. He's a good fighter, and Ian Garry was able to stop him without making it look particularly difficult. Now his UFC debut was a little bit rocky at times. He did get caught with a few shots. Got his nose blooded and, got kind of pushed around a little bit in the early goings against Jordan Williams, but then was able to set him up for that lovely counter right that he landed. Mm-hmm. He's a really slick striker, this kid. He has got a bright future ahead of him. I don't work for anybody anymore, so I can say what the fuck I like. I am concerned about his team situation. Because like he had a team, he was very stable and everything was working out, and then all of a sudden he got kind of and was
wag trap.
Yeah, wag trap. Fucking hell, that was it. That is it. Hashtag wag trap. Yeah, and like I don't know, it concerns me that he's a little bit further ahead than he should be right now. I'd have liked to have seen him get maybe 1 or 2 more fights on Cage Warriors and really establish himself, because like he's going to be accelerated very quickly. I think this is a good matchup for him.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I think this is a good matchup for him. I think that's the way that they're going to craft his career. But it's the levels are going to increase very quickly, especially with him having an undefeated record, because the UFC are only going to kind of guide him and his career for so long until the demands become like, hang on a minute, okay, somebody better.
But do you think his transition now over to, because he's training at Stanford MMA as well, right?
That's a wicked move. That's a great move. Yeah. Because he's going to be surrounded by guys that are already fighting at a decent level, guys that are going to be able to push him and show him that level without him being in the cage doing it.
Yeah.
But there is still a difference. There's always a difference with being on the mats and then going into the UFC. And there's a the marketing machine behind this kid it might be a bit too much for him at this stage, because he's got sponsorship deals and endorsements and stuff, and he's doing all the right things, but what it also does is it piles pressure onto his shoulders,
But don't you think sometimes instead of it feeling like pressure, it feels like confidence.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely it does, and I think he's got buckets full of confidence. But then in the moments in that first UFC fight where he starts to get cracked by Jordan Williams and his nose is blooded, that confidence can start to unravel. Of course, he got the finish in that fight, but there are going to be points where he is pushed into the later rounds, and
but with a finish, it's very easy to forget about the moments that you were like with a bloody nose or that you struggled.
Absolutely.
Right? Like same thing with Paddy that some people mentioned, but other people are like kind of just put it under the bus because he ended up winning that first debut just similar to Ian Garry with a stoppage, with an impressive stoppage, and had struggled beforehand, but nobody will ever mention it unless it's Michael Bisping on the mic straight after.
Yeah,
dude, I
know what you're saying. Like the reason I'm saying it is because I remember back to his fight against Jack Grant on Cage Warriors.
Yeah,
and like there were points in that fight where he looked under pressure.
But that was a 5-round fight.
It was, yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. But the level's going to keep improving, and Jack Grant is a good European level, but then the level is going to increase very quickly, and because of the fanfare and the attention on this kid, the way that he's selling himself, he's going to be his career is going to be expedited. That's my concern for him. I think Darian Weeks is a good fight for him. I think he's a durable individual that will most likely test him into the second or third round.
Yeah.
And I do think, with so he's got a decent 4-inch height advantage, 2-inch reach advantage. I think he's going to be faster. I think he's got a better striking skill set. The one thing that I am interested from Darian Weeks, though, is he does a lot of that like hop stomp side kick to the lead leg. Mm-hmm. And I wonder what that's going to do to Ian Garry's movement. I think Ian Garry's going to do it, but I just hope that he's moved along at the right pace and he's not rushed, because he's definitely a bright kid.
He's also a really nice kid.
Real nice kid. I
was really surprised when we spoke to him just how polite and nice he is.
Yeah.
But Darian Weeks, I feel, overswings sometimes with his punches, with his overhands, that it's like perfect for Ian Garry style, which is slip back counter, especially when he uses those kicks that just either get your guard up or destabilize you, and then make you sort of attack before you really want to attack. And that can draw out a lot of stuff from Darian Weeks, and then get countered with angle like changes and just crosses.
Yeah.
I do like the way he incorporates like takedowns in with his strikes, Darian Weeks.
Yeah. So I think that's the smart way to go here. Like Ian Garry's ground game against Jack Grant looked really good. Good sub defense. He's very flexible. He's very aware. He's very, very aware of what's going on. But like that, there were points in that fight where he looked very fatigued. Panicked, and uncomfortable. And I just that was my concern. Like that's what I'm saying. Is like Jordan Williams was an ideal first opponent in the UFC. Darian Weeks is an ideal second opponent. But that fight against Jack Grant, if I was his management, I would have gone, hang on a minute, let's give him one more on Cage Warriors. Let's get him someone else that's of a Jack Grant kind of level that's going to test him on a good European standard and see where he's at. Because the Ackman fight, as soon as I watched that, I thought to myself, yeah, no doubt, he's electric. He's definitely ready. The way he dealt with Ackman, who was a UFC veteran, absolutely. And he'd been going through people first and second rounds up to that point.
But did he train before with Jack Grant? Because they were were they friends or something?
Sorry, wait, no, they were. But he also had left his camp before the Jack Grant fight, so he was a bit in limbo.
Ah, yes,
you know what I mean?
Remember.
And it takes some time to adjust to a new training camp as well, and that's maybe what we saw in the early going against Jordan Williams.
Yeah. Because I don't think he had a camp for that. Jack Grant.
Was it Paul Hughes stepped into his corner last minute in that one? Yeah. Paul Hughes stepped in last minute to corner him. It's just like that, that whole kind of restlessness. Like, hopefully, it looks like he's far more settled now in the US and stuff, but still, the expectation's really high, and he talks up that expectation all the time as well.
Yeah. The good thing about that is that you do get the attention that you would need. Like, for example, if you don't talk up, or there's no expectation and stuff, there's also no interest in helping you evolve quicker.
Yeah.
And because if somebody sees, oh, there's a lot of stuff behind this guy, let me get behind him right now, and it's a good investment for me as a coach, as a training partner, as a whatever, to get a lot of exposure. So that also benefits it's kind of like having money. Like when you have money and you can bring in whoever you want and do that. Having that is a currency as well.
Yeah,
which is just a different currency that can help you evolve.
Yeah. I'm thinking Ian Garry's going to take it.
Yeah, I do.
I think he's.
I
actually
think
think he's. I think he's going to stop him. I think he's going to stop him. It wouldn't surprise me if it's that right high kick. I think he might be able to set him up for that, similar to what he did against Ackman. That was a really nice finish. I think he's use his height and his reach and back him up against the fence and then set him up for a finish. Yeah, I've got high hopes for Ian Garry. I really hope he does well. I'm nervous at the same time though. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Dern against Tecia Torres. Okay, so 11-2 for Mackenzie Dern, 13-5 for Tecia Torres, 3-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage for Mackenzie Dern. 7 submission finishes for Mackenzie Dern, no stoppages by strikes, and 1 apiece for Tecia Torres.
I don't think that height thing's that accurate because I'm 5'4". And
do you think she's shorter or taller than you?
No, I've stood next to her. I'm taller.
Okay, so what do you reckon? Is she 5'2"? So is Tecia Torres 4'11"?
No, I think maybe Tecia Torres is 5 foot.
Yeah.
and Mackenzie's like 5'2". It's okay. We all lie on our shirt, dog.
What are your thoughts on this one? Of course, everyone goes, Mackenzie Dern's definitely going to get this one to the floor.
I'm so excited for it. Just to see Mackenzie Dern on the floor in MMA, I feel like is good for all MMA.
Yeah.
But every time she's there, what is interesting is something that I had mentioned to you before about the judges.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she's on the mat, she doesn't have to do as many punches or as many strikes in order to be like, oh, action needed. Because it's Mackenzie Dern on the ground. That's not the point where if she holds you, you just stand them up. You know, you keep them there. So she does have those extra seconds that, she's won by being phenomenal on the ground.
Yeah.
To work and to work a little bit more cautiously, which I feel she does. Like when she was against Nina, she could have just straight gone for that arm bar and been like, oh, whatever. If I'm on guard, I'm better than you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
On the ground. Respectfully, I don't think I have to explain that. But she didn't. She set it up really, really tight until she was for sure that she had it. And Nina was not going to tap easy to anything.
No.
And I felt like that was very impressive. What I also liked a lot was to see her against Marina Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
Because Marina Rodriguez didn't give her anything.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't give her absolutely anything on the ground. And it was a very I'm just going to stall and not let you do anything. Sure, you have advantageous positions, but the moment that you try to go for something, I'm going to try to get up. Mm-hmm. So Mackenzie was a little bit cautious. Although controlling the whole fight, it showed you that, hey, maybe you can get away with not getting submitted if you don't give them anything and accept that you're losing this from control.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So Torres has never been stopped, never been submitted or TKO'd.
Yeah, but when she fought Mackenzie Dern on
well,
the
no,
ground.
exactly. She's almost all of her wins are by decision as well. So it's most likely that she's gonna be fighting over 3 rounds, which gives Mackenzie enough time to work. My concern is that Mackenzie's takedown ability is not fantastic, and I think Tecia's fast and she's got good footwork and she's got a low center of gravity, a low stance.
Yeah.
She's got decent footwork, 58% takedown defense, whereas Mackenzie Dern's got a 10% takedown accuracy.
Yeah, well, she's been in... I think that 10% accuracy isn't as accurate because there's a lot of things that she'll be chaining together or trying to chain and then they count them as failures.
Yeah, but,
so I feel
that's 1 in 10 though. That's still a lot. That's a long chain of takedowns to get one.
Yeah, true.
and Tecia's well conditioned,
yes.
She's...
Yeah, I don't feel like Mackenzie's going to go forward and get a takedown. What I feel like can be a possibility is when Tecia Torres rushes in, she can get clinched and taken down, or Mackenzie can just pull guard in those clinched moments. Because although Tecia Torres has, well, first of all, has been in the MMA game for so long, just like Raquel Pennington has been in there for so long and has such a good MMA foundation and structure that... it's solid. So she like solidly knows how to defend like everything that's, I guess, like basic MMA. So with so much movement, I don't think Mackenzie Dern's going to see much on the striking point, although she has evolved massively. It's still is somebody who's done karate and taekwondo from when they were 5.
Yeah,
you know.
And I think as effective as Mackenzie Dern is, I don't think she's the same kind of athlete that Tecia Torres is.
Yeah,
I think Torres is going to look quicker, and I mean not necessarily stronger, because Mackenzie's going to make up for strength with technique in most clinch exchanges.
Yeah.
But I do think that the physicality of Tecia Torres is going to show through. I mean, she's strong and able for this weight class. Not necessarily powerful, you could say, but definitely.
But she still muscles out of some positions and uses that strength. I just think that because she's like a little bit shorter, with like the Superman punches and all those punches, she kind of like punches up and loses some of the power. Like the Korean Zombie, for example, like just goes down and goes straight through you. And with her, which I understand because I have that sometimes when I'm fighting or I'm sparring with somebody taller, I'm like, oh, I have to like reach to get them. And you lose a lot of power by reaching that way.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like her strength hasn't shown as much as it actually is. But yeah, and she has been training with Jessica Aguilar for a lot. It's going to be in her corner as well. It's like has been one of her training partners, which is Jessica is another one that's been there for a really long time. Has been in like management team with other athletes, so has just been really focused in the game. And I just feel like they're going to bring a very MMA approach to such a specialist.
Yeah. So stuff her takedowns, keep her standing, and outpoint her on the feet.
Outpoint her.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do you think Torres is going to do it then? Or do you think Mackenzie's going to be able to get to the floor at some point?
I think she's going to get to the floor at some point. And I'm picking Mackenzie just because, the ground is just, it's just so many levels above anybody else in the division. Yeah. That it's kind of like one of those like, oh, I'm fighting Damian Maia type of things, but female. And I love the way she uses crucifix in her fights. Like she'll use it to throw strikes or even control, and really pressures in with her hips right around the arm to where it's painful. And you're also in a really bad position that I don't feel is used that much. Like sometimes people will get a crucifix from the kneeling position and then roll and then be on their back, but she does it from the top, which is very dominant.
Be really useful in one championship, because we see a lot of crucifix from like Ritu Fogat and Itsuki Hirata, because they're able to knee to the head there as well. You know, it makes it it's an interesting rule change that changes the ground game, I think. But I mean, I could absolutely see Mackenzie Dern taking her back and choking her out in a scramble. That's the way I would see. I think she's going to struggle maybe to catch an armbar on Tecia, because I think she's going to be slick and strong and be able to read those moments and get her arm out. But I could see her getting her back taken in a scramble back to her feet and getting choked. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I can see Torres just kind of outpointing her to a decision, though.
Yeah,
like being difficult to get to, being awkward, hitting her with that jab and staying away from her, and anytime she tangles up. Like the good thing when you fight Mackenzie Dern is you know for sure you don't want to grapple with them, right? Unless you're really doing something to surprise them and take them out of their game plan. But most likely it's going to be the foolish thing to do. Yeah. Torres' game plan is clear, and I think she's got the physicality and the capability to do it. Yeah. And I don't know whether Mackenzie Dern's got the grappling, the wrestling to take her down. If she gets it to the floor, of course, but...
What I love about Mackenzie as well, which you said like won't really catch her in her armbar, but what I like about her submissions is that she does a lot of wrapping around techniques to where she'll get your arm but wrap it around and make it really tight and not just like straight up like that where you can just avoid him and escape easier. With the knee bars, she does the same thing, and it's just it's very powerful the way she utilizes her hips throughout her entire game in grappling.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you on this one. I was leaning towards Tecia by decision, but I'm going to go with Mackenzie. You've convinced me. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and she fought Reba is like right after she gave birth too. What is it, like 3 months after she gave birth? Can you imagine? After like pushing something out, just getting in shape, like you were just like blown up.
Blown up like.
Yeah. And like babies crying all the time. You can think about a training camp right after that. That sounds like take a year, man.
Right? Seems like a good time to move on. Okay. The co-main event. Gilbert Burns against Khamzat Chimaev.
What is it? The people's main event?
The people's main event. 20-4 for Gilbert Burns, 10-0 for Chimaev. Average fight time is considerably shorter for Chimaev, as you can see. 3 minutes 14. He has a decent height advantage and a decent reach advantage. Both got 6 wins by knockout. Chimaev has 4 wins by submission compared to 8 submissions by Gilbert Burns. The other thing that's worth mentioning is Gilbert Burns is a prolific submission artist, but has not been at welterweight. As a lightweight, he was armbarring people left and right, and he was very effective with it. But we've not seen him use that part of his game as much. I mean, I think the best example of his ground game was probably against Damian Maia, where he showed like awareness and ability to scramble without getting subbed, which is near impossible against Damian Maia. No decisions for Chimaev on his record, 6 for Gilbert Burns.
I think we talked about that Damian Maia fight before it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were talking about how they both were good grapplers, but Gilbert Burns was competing actively against the best now, so it's just like a younger, refreshed grappling version of Maia.
And it's kind of the same as what we were talking about with Mackenzie. Like if you're fighting Damian Maia, you know for sure what he wants to do, and you know for sure what he's going to try and do. Unless you're Ben Askren, and that's the only time you get 2 wild cards come against one another. You've got a jiu-jitsu guy against a wrestler. So Damian Maia was like, okay, you take me down when you like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, but like any time an MMA fighter comes up against a specialist like Maia or Mackenzie, like you know what they're going to do. And Gilbert Burns' game plan was clear in that one. Like sub-defense, like use your awareness to stay out of trouble. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's going to have the ability to stop Khamzat taking him down, though. That's the point of difference. Like Khamzat is a wrestling specialist. I think he could stop Maia submitting him once it was on the floor, but I don't think he can stop Chimaev putting it there. And I don't know if his submission skills are of the level that they need to be to A, deal with most welterweights, especially at this top level, and B, for someone that would probably be a middleweight in a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is a big. I know everybody's like really hyped about Chimaev, and I saw a few comments on the War Room of people going, "Oh, underestimating Gilbert Burns." I'm not underestimating Gilbert Burns at all. I know how good he is. I may be overestimating Chimaev, but I don't think I am. Like from what I've seen and the way he's done things, like you just don't manhandle the leech like that. Like John Phillips and Reese McKee, and they're not top 15 welterweights, but they're tough, durable individuals, and they were manhandled, and that they don't get manhandled by the majority of people. And he made it look easy. He's taken 3 or 4 punches in his entire career.
Yeah, and we saw that clip of Brian Stan. Was it?
Yeah, that was 2017. That was
2017.
Just shows you how good Brian Stan was at his job. Like it is such a shame that he is no longer a commentator, because he was. I remember taking a photograph of him at Media Day when he was doing UFC 204. And I was doing like backstage interviews and stuff. So on Media Day, I think you guys were there as well. Like he was there, fucking full American dad get up with his clipboard, like going around and interviewing the fighters for his notes. That was before they started doing fighter interviews. And I remember taking a photo and posting it on my Instagram and being like, fucking Brian Stan doing his research. Good shit. Like 2017, He was like, hey, Chimaev's the guy.
He's like, everybody's talking about him. Like, he just, like, everybody in the gym just manhandles and beats up.
It's crazy. Yeah. So according to UFC stats, he's taken 1 significant strike in his whole career.
You know what I find interesting about this as well? It's that it's kind of the opposite approach of Ian Garry. Because they kind of, like, he kind of developed secretly in the background and just is coming up and like, that's it, I'm tearing through it.
Yeah.
And not the other way around, Even though like the amount of fights is the same, I don't feel like the level
but then
of readiness for the title is the same.
But that's a great example. You've got Chimaev who's 10-0 and Ian Garry who's 8-0, and the point of difference is 3 years in age. Ian Garry's 24, Chimaev's 27. Like Chimaev in 2017 when Brian Stan was talking about him, may have been smashing everybody in the gym, but it might have been a little bit too much for him to step to the UFC level at that point.
Yes.
But by the time he was ready, when he came in and fought John Phillips in 2020, like, he was ready to smash through everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
You say smash.
Of course I did. Of course I did. I don't know. I feel like he's landed at the right time and hit the ground running. And of course, you know, he's beaten two guys that most UFC fans don't rate too highly in McKee and Phillips, even though they are like domestically European level fighters alongside Chimaev. They were good matchups, and he just made it look too easy. Goes up to Meerschaert at middleweight and stops him in 17 seconds, and then manhandles the Leech in just over 3 minutes.
And that's one of the things that makes me worried for Gilbert Burns is the Leech is one of the biggest dudes in that division.
He's got a head like a concrete block.
Yeah. And the only thing is that fighters from China right now are having a little bit of difficulties with everything that's grappling.
Mm-hmm.
So Chimaev out-grappling him isn't as...
It's not surprising.
It's not as surprising. But the fact that he was able to just lift him and be in the fight and not like full-on focus, because he was talking to Dana.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like... That's next level
He's fucking around with him. He's playing with him, yeah. But I think he's going to have more respect for Gilbert Burns, but I also wouldn't be at all surprised if he just makes it look that easy.
Yeah.
Like imagine if Chimaev decides, okay, well, this guy's got great ground skills, but I saw Usman expose him on the feet with clean straight punches. We know he can throw clean straight punches. Anytime you see him doing pad work, there's no fucking stupid Mayweather punching pads behind the back and nonsense like that. He is hitting jab crosses and hooks. And when you watch him hitting pads with Darren Till, it's body kicks and knees. It's simple shit that he can integrate into his game very quickly and use it with devastating effect. He landed 4 punches on Meerschaert, but he had landed 1 to knock him down, and the following ones were unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Like, the fight was done in 1 punch. I could see him doing the same thing to Gilbert Burns. I could see him bullying Gilbert Burns for the first sort of 2 or 3 minutes, pushing him around, stuffing his takedowns, blocking his shots, and then just TKOing him.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna. I love Gilbert Burns. He's a lovely dude, but I think this is gonna be brutal. I think this is gonna be fucking brutal, and I think we're gonna watch Chimaev and go, who else do you give him now? Who else is gonna want to fight him? Covington will move up to fucking middleweight. Adesanya will move up to light heavyweight. Like, Adesanya's picked Gilbert Burns. I'm like, dude, that's fucking wishful thinking, man. That's wishful thinking. Like, Chimaev would have a harder time taking the belt off Usman than he would against Adesanya. I don't doubt that for a second. Because I think Usman brings in a much more complete skill set as far as MMA goes, with wrestling being the core of it. Mm-hmm. And I think Adesanya's takedown defense game is improving quickly. But like, if I'm Chimaev watching Adesanya against Vettori, I'm not seeing myself bulldoze him into the fucking fence and get my takedown stopped like Vettori was. He's got way more finesse with his takedowns. Like, he'd be able to ground Adesanya and expose his bottom game, but his ground game, and be able to maul him. Like, I think Usman would be able to contend with him. But like someone commented in the Someone commented in the War Room comments. They were like, "Oh, hating on Colby." I'm like, I don't particularly like the character that he's playing, but that doesn't mean I judge his skill set any differently. And I don't know as he's got what he needs to beat Chimaev. I think Colby would look like a lightweight against Chimaev. Yeah. You know? Like,
especially because I don't think he'll be able to out-cardio Chimaev. Because by the sounds of it, he trains like a monster.
Like a monster.
And you have to think, Darren Till, he is a super high level. For him, he could have gone to Khamzat and then checked it out and just been like, you know what, this is hype and this is kind of BS.
Yeah.
I'm about to bounce before I get any worse. But he didn't.
No.
And that, you have to think about the caliber of fighter that Darren Till is and how technical and smart Darren Till is as well when he fights. If he gets caught because he gets a little bit too excited, that doesn't take away from his actual fight IQ. That's just, trying to be exciting for the fans. You can't have it both ways. Mm-hmm. But he's very intelligent in the way he moves and in the way he strikes. So for him to go to that and be like, no, this is pretty legit, I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
Then that tells you something on top of as well. And when he fought Meerschaert, he only threw like that punch that knocked him out, but it was a very smart punch because he followed him, and then he went like from fence panel to fence panel and then punched him into it. So it wasn't just a lucky like heavyweight punch that landed.
No, it
like
was clean and accurate.
Yeah, it was like very intentful. So okay, you can say that Meerschaert isn't the same, I guess, caliber like you want to test somebody, but look at the application of skills that Khamzat provided, and that's what's impressive.
Yeah. Like most of the time with Burns' knockouts, with Burns' punches, they come wild and over the top and stuff. The cleanest one, which I talk about in the War Room, is the Damian Maia one, where he catches him with that kind of curving lead hook, kind of like a straight hook. It's a weird punch, but I don't know. I just feel like he's underpowered in this one in a lot of different ways, and I don't think if he wasn't able to submit. If he wasn't able to submit previous opponents, I don't think at welterweight, I don't think he's gonna be able to submit Khamzat.
Yeah, but the thing is, previous opponents probably wouldn't have gone like, hey, let me go to the mat with Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have facilitated that aspect as much as somebody who wants to engage. But Gilbert did seem to struggle against Usman and Hooker, for example, with very straight punches, like the one that Khamzat did against Meerschaert.
Yeah. I've got to pick Chimaev.
Yeah,
I can't not pick. I think I'm picking first round stoppage as well.
I love Gilbert Burns as well.
Yeah, I know, he's such a nice guy.
He's a like thick boy,
He's
and his
such a
brother's
nice guy.
like coolest dude as well.
Yeah, I respect him for taking this fight. But I think he's going to be one of the next stages in proving how good Chimaev is. And he said he's not going to have one belt in the next 18 months. He's going to have two. That's what Chimaev's prediction is. What a fucking animal.
And he can very well do it.
Yeah.
He like prepped himself. So when he went in the UFC, he's not like during this learning process. He's during this taking over process.
Yeah.
It's like straight domination to everybody else. And I respect that approach so much. Because I'm sure during his career, like, most people were like, you should be in the UFC, you should be that, and I don't know what he actually did towards it, if this just happened to happen like this, but the fact that he was
been at All Stars for ages,
ready,
hasn't he?
yeah.
I mean, the like, and you know what All Stars is like yourself. It's such a deep mat with a lot of different and skilled talent, and a lot of big guys as well. You got to think Gustafsson was training there, and then after he beat Manowar, went over and started training there. And they're both light heavyweights and big light heavyweights, and they've both talked about Chimaev. You got Reza Madadi talking about Chimaev, who's on the mat all the time there.
And his coach is saying that no one's ever like submitted Chimaev before.
That's scary. Ever. That's a statement that you don't hear very often. Yeah, no, he's never been submitted in this gym. Like.
Well, that's what the statement was.
If
it's true or not, I don't know. I
know,
wasn't
that's
at
what I'm
every
saying.
single training session, but
that's what I'm saying is like if Andreas Michael was saying that, if one of the coaches was saying that, it's because it's true. It's not because they're just kind of like that's a scary thought. He's ranked at 11 right now. Gilbert Burns is ranked number 2. If he beats him in the first round by stoppage, I wonder what that's going to do to the rankings. I wonder if there's anybody above him that would speak up and go, hang on, like just for instance, imagine Burns loses by first round stoppage and they just, and I know this doesn't work like this, but if they just switch places in the rankings, no one's going to complain about Gilbert Burns dropping down below Michael Chiesa in the rankings, but who's going to complain about Chimaev being dropped in at number 2? Because below him, then you would have Edwards, Luque, Bilal Muhammad, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Masvidal, Sean Brady, Neil Magny and Chiesa. Maybe Neil Magny might go, hang on a minute, motherfuckers. I've been here for ages.
He has been calling him out as well the whole time. So he's probably one that will.
But then what do you think he'd do to Neil Magny?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, he did call him out.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
He's been one that's been, like, trying to get him to fight him.
But of all of the guys on there, he's, like, Neil Magny's one of the ones I think would have probably least chance against him. Like, I honestly don't think any of those guys would have much of a chance. Like maybe Wonderboy, if he can force it into a striking exchange, he might have some skills that can cause Chimaev problems. But
I like Sean Brady.
I do. Yeah, I think he's
really sick grappling.
Yeah,
I mean, didn't he win like a decision against Craig Jones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I just feel like not only the skill, but also he's so much bigger than all these guys.
Yeah, but he's like 5'10" and heavily muscled. So he's
Yeah.
going to have a height and reach disadvantage to Chimaev. And I think Chimaev's conditioning and wrestling might be too much for Sean Brady still. Like, what is he? Brady's like 15-0, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's undefeated.
Like, I don't know. I mean, again, I may be overestimating Chimaev. We may all be. I just don't think we are. I think
Might
when
be
we
like
see
a Johnny
someone,
Walker moment where
Yeah, I
he did
don't-
like 3
but it's not,
crazy
though.
knockouts.
That's the thing. It's not because like Johnny Walker came in and was like, holy shit. He's like flying at these guys. It's fucking crazy. It's like a jumping knee and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Whereas Chimaev, he just walks you up against the fence and knocks you out with a straight cross. Like, there's nothing fancy about what he's doing. Manhandles the person to the floor, controls that wrist, and then just fucking pounds their face into canvas. It's scary. I fucking love it. I love it. It's brilliant to watch. Like, imagine if Chimaev beats Burns, like an impressive first round stoppage, and then immediately calls out Colby Covington. Colby Covington's bumhole is going to be twitching like a fucking rabbit's nose. He's going to disappear.
He's still
into...
like having problems with the lawsuit.
There we go.
in
He'll
hospital.
disappear into the swamps of Florida, and we'll never hear from him again. No, I'm not questioning Colby's willingness to take this fight. I'm questioning his ability to win it. I don't think he can. I think Chimaev's a scary individual, and I don't think we're underestimating him. But we'll see. Okay. We have Aljamain Sterling taking on Peter Yan in a rematch, 20-3 for the defending champion, which sounds kind of weird saying it, against 16-2 for the challenger, the former champion, the disgraced former champion, who's posing a little bit.
He just looks like a bad kid that just did something horrible.
He's got psychopath eyes. You know what's fucking scary? Have you seen his Christmas card photo with his family? It's the same serial killer eyes. It's the same fucking. Oh Jesus! Hang on. He looks just as fucking lunatic in his like Christmas photos.
His little kid looks like a lunatic as
He
well.
does, yeah. He's certainly gonna grow up to be a lot like his dad, I think. It's a lovely photo and they're all dressed nice and it's like, and then but he's just like this like fucking coldness in Peter Yan's eyes. It's like the vastness of space, and he just like stares into the camera like, take a fucking good photo, cameraman, or I want to eat your face.
Oh yeah,
right. Like, yeah, I'll have to draw it from a distance, but
yeah.
No, there's one that. Look at the one lower down, the one that is like posed. No, yeah, that one. He's like, he wouldn't look wrong if you put one of them Hannibal Lecter masks on him, would it? Like,
Yeah, he looks like he is a Hannibal Lecter man.
Fuck. I was trying to draw a Hannibal Lecter mask on him.
This is like a weird COVID mask.
He looks like an outlaw now. He looks like an outlaw. Yeah, I'm fucking fascinated by this fight. There's loads to talk about on this one. So first of all, everyone that's checked out War Room, thank you very much. There were a couple of factual inaccuracies in it, which I have clarified over the weekend, speaking with friends. So they have been nipped out, and I have clarified them in the pinned comment at the top. But I'm also going to clarify them a little bit for you now as well. But we'll chat about the fight a minute first. So 20-3 for Aljo, 16-2 for Peter Yan. His 2 losses on his record. One was a split decision to Magomedov, which was most likely a split decision loss because he headbutted him in the 5th round. And his other loss was the disqualification against Aljo. So
are you going to mention the weird scorecard, or are we not allowed to talk about it?
The weird scorecard. For the well,
might get secretly murked.
well, so basically, what happened in the first Magomedov fight? It seems that a point was deducted on the scorecards, and then another point was deducted afterwards. I don't have any more information about that, but I do know that, like, looking at the scorecards, yeah. Anyway, it's the point is that he seems to be skirting the rules constantly. And what I talk about in the War Room is the fact that I feel like he very much skirts the rules and knows exactly what he's doing. There's a big debate around whether the result of the first fight was correct and whether he should have been disqualified for it. And there's, the debate that I've had with educated people within the industry is that he should have been deducted 2 points for the foul, and then it should have gone to the scorecards. But for me, that still is too forgiving, because yes, you deduct 2 points, it goes to the scorecard, and it's a draw or whatever, and he keeps his belt. I've no issue with him. I've no issue with that being the process. For some, no, I do. I do have a problem with it. He's the fucking champion. He should know the rules, right? Like if you're a striker for Man United, right? If you play football, soccer for everybody in the US, and you don't know the offside rule, that's going to be your fault. Like the manager of the team is going to be like, dude, what the fuck? You should know that your job is to play this sport full time. Your job is to play this sport. Like there should be no looking over at a corner team for a clarification of, can I knee him in the head right now? You know, like know the rules. You know you can't bite him. You know you can't headbutt him. He tried to get away with it. He really did try and get away with it. He even kind of headbutted Aljo in the back of the head, as I showed you on that thing. And it's like, as you said, it looks like he does it to like lift Aljo's head up for the knee.
Like a snap down for wrestling. It just facilitated that need to be way more disgusting.
I don't buy that I don't buy that he doesn't know that he couldn't knee him in the head there. And I also don't buy that you can claim ignorance if you're the champion of the weight class. And I will say this, Peter Yan is one of my favourite fighters on the roster. If there's a young fighter out there that wants to learn how to do MMA in the most brutal and direct way, watch Peter Yan. He's excellent. Like, he bossed Aljamain Sterling in those first couple of rounds. Toyed with him like an inferior sparring partner. I don't care what anybody says. I've watched enough fights and I've watched enough sparring sessions to know when a motherfucker is absorbing punishment and making you work, right? We watched Jimmy do it to guys at the gym, like walks them down and manhandles them and lets them work, but it gets to the end of the first round and they're like, I've thrown 300 punches and he's still walking forward, and Peter Yan's just going, boom, chest slap to the floor. Like, first of all, I would score that first round for him anyway, based on the knockdown at the end of the round. Second of all, I feel like he wasn't really working hard to dominate the rounds. I think he was forcing Aljo to work, knowing full well that he was going to beat him up for the last 3. So, like, for me, the fight was going in Peter Yan's direction anyway. I just think there was some frustration around the fact that Aljo was now no longer standing and fighting him. And I think he knew what he was doing. And even if he doesn't know what he was doing, that's not an excuse to throw an illegal shot. I get it.
His
if you're on the prelims.
No Mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No mercy, knee to the face.
Yeah, no, for sure. No mercy, fine. But no clue is not fucking acceptable.
I don't think he has no...
The rule set is printed in every language. You can't claim that you can't get access to that information.
And this I can vouch for. Before every fight, the referee that is going to be your referee comes to the back where you're warming up with your whole team, and he tells you this. And the one thing he focuses the most on telling you, they don't go over like every single rule, but they're like, this is what a downed opponent is. Every single time. And not only that, but if there's somebody else, another fighter warming up in that same area, they go and tell him. Mm-hmm. So like...
Downed fighter and back of the head. They're the two things that are always...
12 to 6, and they always mention that.
But it like a downed fighter is a clear rule. Like, I know there's a... I can't even say that. I'm trying to fucking justify ignorance here. I'm not. Like... You know the rules. Like, even if the rule is changed, like, so at one point you could put a fingertip down and you were a down fighter. Then that rule was taken out because people were playing that game. Mm-hmm. So now you, like, if you have a fingertip down, you can still be susceptible to getting kneed in the head. But if a knee's down, there's no question.
Yeah, that's never been in question.
You can't even be on one knee and one foot and your other foot be off the ground. Like, you have to, like, a knee down is a downed opponent.
Yeah.
Right? There's no question. And there were points in the earlier rounds as well where Aljo was down on a foot and a knee and didn't have his hand on the floor and could have been kneed in the head. So if he thought he couldn't knee him in the head there, why did he do it in the 4th round? I just don't fucking buy it. Like, I get it if you lower down the card on like a regional show. Like, you might get a kid throw a knee in the head, or say if Adriano Moraes moves over to the UFC from one championship, and he's been competing in a rule set where you can knee to the head, and he finds himself defending a takedown and whacks a knee, and he's like, oh fuck, wrong rule
reflex
set. Yeah. There's an argument for there. The argument is withdrawn for Peter Yan because in the 2nd and 3rd round he could have broken the same rule that he broke in the 4th, and he chose not to. I don't dislike him for being Cheetah Pan. I don't dislike him. I go, if I'm in his corner, I'm like, yeah, knee that motherfucker in the head. Why not? But like, if I'm in my MMA mindset, I'm like, this is the reason why there's confusion in around this rule.
Well, you were in a fight where your corner was yelling, knee him in the head. So
yeah, a fucking world title fight, Steve. That's, every time I see him, I still mention it to him. Yeah, you're right. But then, but in my UFC debut, I got kneed in the head with my knee down, and Gono was coming over from Pride. I'm like, okay, this guy's fought most of his career in Pride. I'm up against the fence down on a knee, knees me in the side of the head. I mean, and the truth is, I don't remember the rest of that fight. I remember I won the decision, but I don't remember the finishing sort of minute and a half after I'd been kneed. But this fight, the first fight, was such a fucking mess for so many reasons.
I don't think you can make a plausible argument that he didn't do it intentionally.
So the argument for deducting 2 points and sending it to the scorecards is if you decide that it's an unintentional foul. So it's an illegal knee, but the intention wasn't to strike him illegally.
Okay.
It was a misunderstanding of the rules or a misunderstanding of the opponent's position.
Okay.
I call it double standards, but if that happens in an amateur or an early pro fight on a regional show, okay, maybe there's a misunderstanding of the rules, but that should be the first and last time that person makes that mistake, because that rule should be clear enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that rule's clearer now, having Aljamain Sterling got kneed in the head and Peter Yan been disqualified for it.
Absolutely.
Right? If you'd have deducted 2 points from Peter Yan and he'd kept his belt, then that rule is now really fucking confusing, because hang on a minute, you need him in the head, but he still ended up with the belt, and now it's a no contest or a draw or what? Like, he broke the fucking rules. Like, you need him in the head,
finishing
right?
Move as well. It's like a lethal finish him.
Yeah. Finish him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are like, I know that they're just talking about Aljo kind of like playing it up, but
well,
Yan, like, it's Peter Yan, and he's need you full force in the head. Like, that dude is a little savage.
Yeah.
He like is going first. He headbutted you to lift your head to then knee you in the face as hard as he possibly could. Like, the amount of force you can generate from that position, especially because you didn't know that shot was coming. You can block, and even if it's an unexpected shot, like standing, you're kind of braced for it.
Yeah.
But in the position he was in, there was no way for him to mentally be braced for that position.
No.
So that knee could have very well like totally did it for him.
Yeah. It could have knocked him out cold.
Yeah.
I mean, he was lucky that it didn't, but then he was also unlucky that it didn't, because had it been knocked him out cold, then we wouldn't have this sour taste in our mouth about how the fight ended up. Because instinctively, we watching it, we all know that he was putting on a performance there.
Yeah. And
we watch it and we're like, oh, that's kind of... Like, you don't want to see that from a fighter. Like, you want to see a fighter that's like, no, fucking let me at him. Let me at him. My arm's hanging off. I got no fucking side of my face, but let me at him.
But that's not very smart, though.
No, it's not. It's not, absolutely. But the officiating damaged the reputation of Aljo there, because they put the pressure on him to make that call by doing the performance.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same. We go back to football, right? If you don't know the fucking offside rule, then that's on you. If you get tripped up and you fall on the floor and you roll around holding your fucking knee, and you get your the other guy gets a yellow card, and then you back up and you run around the field with a fucking grin on your face, you're a dickhead. And you look like a dickhead, and there's 25,000 fucking cameras in here, and we can see 27 different fucking angles of this thing, and we all know you're a dickhead. Like when Koscheck got poked in the eye by Anthony Johnson, when he didn't get poked in the eye, or is it like a phantom knee? Like, I don't know,
Koscheck was the first person
bugs
I ever
me.
hated.
It bugs the shit out of me, because it brings like a, what is it? It's a weak element to MMA. I don't want to see a weak element in MMA, and that's what it brings to me. Like, I actually took it out because I was going to show it in here. But the point where he gets up, like, he's helped up, and I love Ray Longo, and I don't mean any disrespect by this. And I understand the position that Aljo was put in because he needed to put on this performance in order to get the right outcome for the fight, which was the disqualification, right?
Did Diego Sanchez do something similar? I remember hearing something similar about a fight
and
that
everyone shit-talked him for it, right? Anthony Smith, when he got kneed against John Jones, like that quite easily have been called, hang on a minute, dude, you're the fucking champion, you've kneed him in the head illegally, you don't deserve that belt.
But that's not
you can't
fair
claim
for
ignorance.
Anthony Smith, though.
Why not?
Well, because...
But he chose to carry on.
I know he chose to carry on, but like as a fighter, when you go in there and you're going to take, like, if you have to take a beating, you'll take one because that's like who you are and how you are and what you, like, guess what you sign up for you when you go in there. If you get outskilled and you're going to take a beating, you take it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's the mentality that we have. But then if you have some, like, a foul move that really changes the way the fight goes and you can't continue, it's kind of like going in there with an injury. It's unfair. And then you're being put into this, you have to show this fighter characteristics. If not, like, you're weak or you're like whatever, which...
But nobody questions Anthony Smith, right? Because like we saw his teeth coming out in the Glover Teixeira fight. Like we know he's tough as fucking nails. There's no doubt about it. But in a circumstance where a champion breaks the rules, like the referee should see a knee like the one that Aljo got hit with, or potentially like the one that Anthony Smith got hit with, and they should look at that fighter and go, they're not the same fighter that they were before that knee landed. Therefore, that rule break it invalidates the fight continuing. Like that's where it was unfortunate for Aljo, and I feel bad for him because now we all look at him and go, fucking hell, dude, you put on such a performance after that fight. But he was forced to because he wasn't in the right shape to continue.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so it would have done him a favour if he was dead bugged like Ben Askren was.
Yes.
Like if he was knocked out cold from that, everyone would have been like, oh shit, that was an illegal knee.
Yeah.
That's a disqualification. And maybe the right thing for Aljo to do would have been to go, you know what, you fucking hold the belt until I've actually physically won it myself. Like then that would have left everybody going, you know, that makes sense because he was damaged. There was no way he could continue. The reason he couldn't continue was because the knee was blatantly illegal. And now Peter Yan therefore cannot keep the belt because he's been disqualified. So then by default, Aljo's the champion, although he's not accepting being the champion, like Gaethje didn't accept the interim belt. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, I'll wait until I've...
Cyril Gane did the same thing. He was like, when I fight the champion, is that...
But this is where the whole thing's been kind of toxified is the conversation around Peter Yan losing his belt to an illegal knee, and then Aljo then playing up and making a big performance of it because he had to, because the officials didn't do what they should have been to rescue him from that. Like, you can't have the fucking referee and the doctor there deliberating while he's laying on the floor. Like, is he the same fighter that he was before the illegal knee? No. Can he carry on? No. That's the call. Make the call. Make the call. Don't expect him to make that call himself. I don't like to see fighters make that performance, but the opportunity for him was created, and he had to make the most of it in order to get the officials to do their job. Like, it's the same thing, and I've got a couple of things I want to clarify about the War Room in a minute, but it's the same thing with that Luana Pinheiro upkick against Randa Marcos, and that was a clip I put in here as well. Because, like, the clip that you put, and I haven't got it, I deleted it, I changed my mind, because I don't want to shit on anybody too much, but I just want to highlight this stuff, because that's the reason why we don't like the outcome of this fight. That's the reason why people have changed their mind on Aljo, is because he was put in this situation where he had to, like, roll around on the floor and play the fucking, Premiership fucking footballer. Oh, I think my fucking knee's dislocated from that whiff of my earlobe. You know what I mean? It's
but
like,
it would be less for Luana because she's a girl as well.
But and that frustrated me even more, because that was a glancing up kick, and as she fell back, she looked at the referee and broke her fall with her hands, and then was doing this whole, like, not sure where she is, and, like, rolling around from side to side. And, like, when Aljo got up, he was like a fat guy standing up for the first time in 10 hours. He was like, he did that kind of, I think I'm going to fall over. I'm like, dude, you're fucking not. You're fine.
Yeah.
Like, you're fine. You've been fine for 2 minutes. Stand up. Don't accept the belt, but accept the victory. And let's run it back. The performance was problematic. The legal knee was problematic. The whole fucking circumstance is problematic. I think Peter Yan's going to dominate him this next time around. I think he's going to come in like serial killer fucking eyes. Jesus.
He looks a bit like Hasbulla. He's like Hasbulla's evil older brother.
Almost full size. So let me just clarify a couple of things. So with the war room, there were a couple of mistakes I made that I've clarified over the weekend, as I said. We've clipped them out of the war room. So if there's a couple of little kind of odd, and I'm like, and then I jump into the next bit, just ignore it, because I didn't want the misinformation, the fake news. I didn't want the fake news to be in there. So we've taken those couple of little bits out. Now I've got better information and I have corrected my way of thinking. So a couple of things I want to clarify. One was this slam. So my understanding was that slamming an opponent intentionally on their head was considered spiking. It turns out...
Just record that bit.
Oh shit, hang on a minute. Yeah, okay. So it turns out that you can suplex somebody, you can pick them up and turn them and slam them sideways onto their head. That's fine. What you can't do, same as a 12-6 elbow, you can't pick them up and tombstone them onto the head. The only times I can think of a couple of examples of that, one being Bob Sapp against Nogueira in Pride. Matthias Frederick did it to James Webb on Cage Warriors. I think Nate Marquardt did it to someone as well, but I can't remember who. But so what you'll see here is that Peter Yan's got him around the waist, trapped the arm as well, so he's got that control around him, and he's going to lift him and turn him. Now, and this, I mean, I've done refereeing and judging courses, but this was a misunderstanding of mine that I had to correct, because I thought if this had knocked Aljo out, thought that would have been illegal based on the fact that the position he was determined to land in was determined by the person throwing him, and he wasn't locked onto a submission. So if you think back to the Rose Namajunas against... Oh, hang on a minute. This was another fucking mistake I made, wasn't it?
Yeah, you said...
I said Claudia Gadea, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So Rose Namajunas against Jessica Andrade, when she got slammed, she was holding onto a Kimura, which is perfectly legal. Like, if somebody's clamped onto an arm bar or a triangle, you can slam that person to the floor and knock them out. What you can't do is pick somebody up and slam them directly onto their head. And I thought that this type of takedown would be classified under that, but I was incorrect. So this is legal and is a lovely slam. And I'm glad it's legal. I have no problem with that. I don't really mind tombstone because they're so rare, but fuck it. So that's my first correction. That was a mistake that I made. And the other one was this. So the instant replay rule is something that's new, that's been brought in. So this is the knee before the illegal knee, where it was very much borderline. So Aljo's knees are down here. So he's got a knee and a foot down, and then his knee just starts to come up as this is initiated, as the knee's initiated. So we're watching this knee and we're watching this foot here. You can see that knee come up as as Peter Yan's knee's thrown Aljo's knees off the canvas. So there's nothing wrong with that knee. It's perfectly legal. The mistake that I made was after this. See Mark Smith kind of, look at his face. Oh shit. What you'll see him do after this is and it's very difficult to see, but he points up and he spins his finger. So he's asking for an instant replay. He's asking for the cage side official to check to make sure that was a legal knee, which it was legal. So that was the other mistake I made. So the two bits that have been taken out of the war room was the suplex mistake and the instant replay thing. What I will say, though, you can deduct a point without stopping the action by signifying this, and then obviously you go and clarify with the judges at the end of the round. But surely we can find a different fucking that compared to that.
And it's also hard to see because the background is black.
You can just see his fingers spinning because of the little light on the top of his latex glove. You can just see his fingers. But anyway, yeah. So they were the two mistakes I made. I just kind of wanted to clarify them for the war room. But yeah, my point still stands. I think he knew that it was an illegal knee. I think he decided to throw it anyway, just like he did against Magomedov. And I think he paid for it by having his belt taken and getting disqualified. And I think everybody is wiser for that by knowing that that's an illegal knee because of how that played out. And if you're a champion and you're defending your belt and you strike your opponent illegally, that's on you. You're told in the back as well as the back of the head and then downed opponent. You're told to watch your weapons. That's your responsibility. I love Peter Yan. We can't have forgiveness for ignorance in championship fights. Can't do it.
I don't think it was ignorance.
No, I don't think it was. But that's the excuse for not disqualifying him, is that he wasn't sure. Like, there should be no point where...
I've been disqualified before for slamming somebody, and like when they had a submission and they were like, no, but it wasn't in enough and stuff like that. When you go to any competition, that's not on the person if they can continue or not. You get disqualified and that's it. It's not like, oh, this person's that, so we're just going to take a point or restart them in that position. You get disqualified. Doesn't matter who you are in every Olympic sport, in any sport. I feel like he's going to come after me. Like when I go to sleep, I'm borderline scared.
Piotr, how do you feel about losing?
I'm gonna kill him.
Exactly. How do you feel about losing? He'd rather get disqualified. He said he'd rather get disqualified. It makes sense to me, my friend. You're an absolute lunatic, and I'm a big fan. But for fuck's sake, don't break the rules this time because you should be the champion.
Maybe he just thought, oh, I'll get a point deduction, and I need him in the head. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his thought process is. I think he's too smart to be breaking the rules unintentionally. I think he plays the game. I think he tries to get away with shit. I do, and I don't mind it. I'm a big fan of the Raiders. I mean, that's that's what they did. They you go back to the 83 Raiders, and they were all animals. They were using stickum to catch the ball out the air with one hand, and they were there was one of the players, I can't remember what his name was now, but he had a broken thumb for 4 seasons, and it's because he was able to wear a cast on his arm, and then he'd use it to fucking clothesline people. Honestly, American football has changed so much in the last 30 years. Because I grew up watching the Raiders in the 80s, and they were animals, they were monsters, and I grew up with. My dad being a footballer who was a lunatic as well, and Stuart Pearce and Vinnie Jones and stuff. Jamie, you know football. Name me a high goal scorer in the Premiership. Any team.
High goal scorer.
Yeah. Sergio Aguero. I've got no fucking idea who that person is, but you know who that person is. If he didn't know the offside rule, whose fault would it be? It'd be his fault, right? It's his fucking job to know, especially at that level.
That's like missing weight. It's your job to make weight.
But the thing is, with missing weight, there can be nutritional complications with that, travel complications, etc. Your understanding of the rules shouldn't be complicated. If you don't know what a downed opponent is,
there's not that many rules anyway.
Exactly.
God, it's not like we're going into.
Don't headbutt them. Don't fish hook. Don't poke them in the eyes. Don't strike them in the groin. Right. Don't strike or don't strike them to the back of the head or the spine.
Don't oil check them.
That's actually not in the rules. Especially
you can't put fingers in holes.
But you kind of don't with oil check, do you? I mean, was it Gregor Gillespie that was doing it, and he was beaked his fingers together, and he was driving up his bumhole.
I've seen that in wrestling.
Get a reaction out of him.
Just straight finger in.
Whoa! You don't want any of that. No, but you can't grab. Oh, what happened there? You can't grab your. I've lost my sound. I think I've fucked up the headphones. Oh, there it is. You can't grab your opponent's shorts, but you can grab your own shorts.
Mm-hmm.
You can grab them all fucking day. Can't pull hair. Can you grab your own hair?
Pretty sure you can. Why not?
That's why Rostam Akman doesn't body shave. Because at any point he gets locked into a kimura, he can just get a nice big handful of body hair and cling onto it.
That's not a nice sight for me in my head at all.
Could hold on to a love handle. How about that? There's an excuse for not being in shape. Kimura, grab a muffin top. Anyway, we've gone way off topic here. How did we even get to this?
Talked about the fight.
Tell me what you think about it.
I think Piera's gonna do it.
Yeah.
I think Alexey's been working super hard, and I understand all the time that it's taken him because neck injuries are horrible to deal with. And when you saw with that slam, that's had to cause the neck injury. Plus, he's been talking about things that he's had before, and he's been pushing off because there's obviously this rush to get to the championship level. because once you're champion, then you can kind of make the rules. You can sit back and go, oh, I'll fight here and I'll tell you when and I'll do this. But going up, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And you can't have that bargain with the UFC. So
he's been like working through some stuff that, and you've got to think, slammed on his head, kneed in the head. Then he's got that massive gold chain that he wears around his neck, which must put some fucking strain on them vertebrae. And the belt over one of his shoulders now, which I bet he don't ever fucking put down. Did you see that little video of him with his?
I don't want to see that, man.
MMA.
Like,
first of all,
I hate stuff
if you buy a rule book that's written in pen on the front, like you could have at least printed that shit out, dude. Print it and laminate it, and make it worthwhile. There was a fighter in one championship that did that. They were stood in the corner and it was like beating Aoki for dummies or something. But it was like properly like photoshopped the front of it.
That,
like,
yeah.
It's a brilliant idea. At least make a fucking effort, man. You know, you've got championship money now. You could.
You can afford it.
You could afford it.
Yeah. I didn't like how sloppy Aljo was getting towards the end.
Oh.
What did you do?
Hang on. There we go.
Got any secret pictures?
I just had to stop it. So. Carry on.
I didn't like how sloppy he was getting, you know, with all these spin attacks really close to Peter Yan and that like chest. I hate that throw so much because it's such like
it's a like, mug off.
Yeah, like when somebody's on the just laying down like playing guard and they just like push your knees and you fall, it's one of those like fuck.
Yeah.
Like you just got me with such. I shouldn't be getting caught with this. Yeah. And that, I feel like that trip is so much like that for him. And with all the training at Tiger Muay Thai, you have to think about the amount of tricks he's gotten from all these Muay Thai fighters because that's what they're all about. Like, they'll just get close and they do these crazy nice trips. Loma.
Yeah.
What's her last name?
Lukbunmi.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
It's like it's great, like trips and great things. And I remember Cynthia, when we were speaking to her after she fought, she was talking about Peter Yan and how he was insane. Like he was training over there, and he had like pink eye and like ringworm, and he didn't care. He still showed up to training and was trying to beat everyone up. Like, what are you gonna draw pink eye on there?
I'm trying to make him look more scary, but to be honest, he's no more scary than he is there.
It looks more without it. It's just
he's
naturally
fucking terrifying. The one thing that I do find interesting about this is that, so we didn't get to see the fight entirely play out, but it played out for 4 and a bit rounds. So Aljo was forced to work really hard in the first round, and I don't think it paid off for him. I think he got knocked down. I think he lost around 10-9. Then he came out in the second round. I think he had an even worse time. But it was, again, it's like PT Yan was making him work. So it's almost like, you remember Kutalaba against Ankalaev, where he pretended to be unconscious, and like that was his, like, you can't play possum a second time. It's not going to work a second time around.
Yes.
Like, what does the experience of those 4 rounds and the disqualification change about this next one? Because first of all, Aljo's been in there for 2 rounds and felt pressured and like he can't do anything to stop PT Yan walking him down. He also knows that in 11 takedown attempts, he got 1 and he kept him down for like 10 seconds.
Yes.
So most likely he's not going to be able to wrestle and beat PT Yan there. He also remembers being really fucking tired and PT Yan walking him down and beating him up. That's not a nice place to be in either. So he's going to work really hard, so we're going to get a better version of Aljo.
Yeah,
He'll
more
be
like
healthier.
cardio, like more muscular, more in shape.
It's scary. But then he's also fixed the injuries that he was dealing with. But then Peter Yan's coming back in and being like, no way you've been carrying around my belt for a few months, and no way that you deserve to ever hold that belt. Yeah, like the mentality of Peter Yan coming in is different again. I think Aljo's going to be a better version of himself than he was last time.
Yes.
And I think Peter Yan's going to put it on him earlier than he did last time. So I think we're going to get a much, much better fight than the first one, even though the first one was really good. I just hope Peter he behaves himself and doesn't do anything silly, because I honestly think the only person that can beat him beats himself. It's a bit of a Tommy Shelby kind of story, isn't it? I won't put any spoilers in here, but if you not watched the last episode, that'll make sense. I think the only person that beats Peter Yan is Peter Yan himself at this stage.
I do like Aljo's style though. It's such a great, like, it's a fun style to watch, and he really tries to be a character. I remember the first time I saw him was the UFC was doing like this like get together thing, and he was just really trying to draw attention to himself, you know, like always took off his shirt whenever he could. He was walking around with a big chain and was talking about fighter pay and like getting more money. So I think and you see with what he did about the performance, he kind of like took it and made it even more like cringy. But still.
I don't think that was his intention though.
No, I don't think that's how he wanted it to play out. No. But I felt like he saw the financial opportunity and he took it.
Yeah, I like Aljo. I think his style is a little bit baseless when he comes up against someone like Peter Yan. I think he's very effective against a lot of guys in the division because he's got the speed and the wrestling and the athletic ability to make a lot of the chaotic stuff that he does pay off. But then, like, you know, it's the same. Like, one of the fights I always remember watching was Prince Nassim against Marco Antonio Barrera, because Nassim was a handful for almost everybody he faced. But then he came up against Barrera and it was like, nope. And he just stopped everything, just fire blanketed everything. And that's what Peter Yan did. And I think that's the kryptonite for someone like Aljamain Sterling's style, is if he starts getting into a rhythm and he creates space for himself and he's stinging his opponent, and then they start to second guess their next step forward and they're not quite sure how they're going to approach him or how they're going to control him. But he doesn't, like you said about Korean Zombie as well. He doesn't mind getting hit. Not because he wants to get hit, but because he knows that he can either take the punch well, take the shots well, or he can cover and defend. Like, he's confident in his toughness.
Yeah.
Something else that I've not mentioned, I meant to mention it in the War Room. So he was, what is he, a master of sports? Is he a master of sports in boxing? So he was lined up to compete in a very, very prestigious tournament that would have got him this qualification of sorts. Yeah, master of sports in boxing. There was a medal that he was due to win, and he was like, it was like the finals were the next day, and they went out the night before, and he got into a fist fight and broke both his hands. Like, it just stuck in my mind because in most of those situations, the boxer will go, I'm not fighting this guy in this pub. I'm gonna fight in the championships tomorrow and do my job.
Yeah.
But he's very in the moment. What's the solution right now? Do you know what I mean? Like, that to me was what came across at that. He was like, well, yeah, I mean, I think he knocked out like 3 guys, but he broke both his hands in the process.
Like, you see
second time you said that.
Like, you see when he just goes like, oh, I'm going to punch you.
Yeah, it stuck out in my mind because it was a reckless decision that makes a lot of sense if you're a lunatic.
Yeah.
Like, that's logic for a lunatic is what that is.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I get
it.
yeah, exactly. I get it, but then I know a lot of fighters that would have been like, nah, I'm not getting involved in that. Aljamain Sterling's not breaking his hands in a street fight when he's got a world championship fight the next day. Peter Yan is, though.
Yeah.
You know, he might even bite your nose off if you get too close. I definitely get that vibe off him.
That's why
no
I
mercy,
like
no limits, no rule book, no holds barred. There you go, NHB. Okay. Should we move on?
Yes.
You're picking Peter Yan, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Good luck, Aljo. Oh, shit. Hang on. We need to go through this again. Here we go. Okay. Alexander Volkanovski against Chan Sung Jun. Zombie. The Zombie. The Korean Zombie.
I just like when they just put Zombie as his last name. Yeah. They don't even try to pronounce anything. They're like Zombie.
Well, that's because the people who run Fight Pass, yet again, can't get his fucking name right. He's been Chang Sung Jun. Chun. I'm honestly, the amount of different like permeations of his name. Permutations? Is that the right word? Permutations? There's a word in there somewhere. There's definitely a word in there somewhere. Yeah. I mean, so I did NordVPN for your geoblocked content. So I've done a breakdown show, which I think is still available right now, but it most likely will be unavailable soon to everybody outside the UK. So take a digital vacation in the UK using NordVPN, nordvpn.com/outlawed, or use the code outlawed50 at checkout, and you'll get a huge discount. You'll get a month free. You'll get a free gift. You'll be able to go on the channel and watch the breakdown show of this, which was quite a straightforward breakdown, to be honest. Like, I've done some in the past few months that have been really fucking complicated, and it's been like giving me a real headache to like pull them apart and identify all the skills that might come into play. This one was pretty straightforward because they both kind of occupy the same space in the octagon. They both want to be right on that inside the octagon line with their opponent backed up against the fence. Different reasons, though. Volkanovski wants to maul and level change and take you down, and Chan Sung Jung wants to beat you up there, and when you level change to try and take him down, he's got loads of space to wrestle into. Volkanovski's a volume puncher. There's not got loads of like one-punch knockouts on his record. He does hurt people with big shots, but he doesn't tend to finish them with big shots. Chan Sung Jung drops people cold with big shots and then follows up with a couple of unnecessaries to finish. He's also got a very, very strong ground game, as we know. He's got a twister on his record. He's got good neck attacks. He's just generally a good all-rounder on the floor. Volkanovski predominantly is a wrestler, a ground and pound wrestler, like old school style. So for me, this is
kind of like old school.
He does. He does. Like, I watch his style, and like, I always remember the old school UFCs, like Matt Hughes defending his belt against. I mean, when he defended his belt against Sean Shirk, there were some shots where they were through the fence. And he just had Sean Shirk like wedged in the corner up against the fence, and he's just fucking smashing him with these big ground and pound shots. Most of the time now, if you see somebody in that position, they're bound, legs and wrist bound, and they're in a position to get ground and pounded, or they're out in the center getting ground and pounded from guard. It's very rare that you see that style of ground and pound nowadays, and he's just very, very good at it. Like, well, you tell me what you think of this one. I'm kind of split right down the fence because I could see both guys winning for different reasons and different ways.
Yeah. Well, with Volkanovski, the pressure that he has on top of ground and pound, I think a lot of it has to do with this like invisible. It's kind of weird to say, but like this invisible like triangle that he has.
Yeah.
Like this pressure that he has between his legs that generate a lot of like gravity against his opponents, because there's a huge difference with the way you stand. For example, and this is kind of something that is very clear in Wing Chun, for example, because you put your heels a little bit outward, and you like press down against your knees, which kind of generate this like really strong base.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, for fighting, if you're just doing that, obviously there's a whole bunch of issues. But if you have somebody down and you're on top and creating a lot of force, if you use that like aspect of it and apply it in a grappling sense, that's horrible to be in.
Yeah.
Because it creates pressure and it also blocks your ability to get out and to move. Like what he did to Kennedy, which is he's a great Canadian wrestler.
Yeah.
He was able to just keep him on the ground and punch him for about 2 minutes horribly.
Yeah. And it's not, the thing is, he's not grappling with them. Like he's not. There's no grappling involved. He's not like, well, I say there's no grappling involved. He's not grappling in the common sense of grappling. He's not holding them down and tying them up. He's weighting into them and pressuring into them. So like he creates like a. Yeah, let me use the other screen. Let me see if that will help. Oh, hang on a minute. Plain screen. Record this, Jamie. So like if that's the edge of the cage there, like he's able to fill that space with downward pressure. Do you know what I mean? Like they're caught here, and he's ramped onto them all the time. So like, and then if you look at him from behind, so like say that's the fence panel there, and his opponent's on the floor. So head, body, legs curled up, covering their head. Like he creates this like triangle over them, like that, where they're like underneath him all the time.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like whenever they're trying to push into him, they're just pushing into that. They're pushing out into this direction, and he's just resting on that weight. So they're always carrying his weight, kind of like what Frankie Edgar does in guard. Do you know what I mean? Like so, like if you got somebody in closed guard, let me see if I can draw this. No, I can't draw it. So like if say like with Frankie Edgar, like when Frankie's stacking somebody, so like their head's there, and then their spine curves, and then they've got closed guard. Like Frankie's there in that position, so his head's here and he's putting weight down into them, so they're holding him off with their guard, So like their shoulders are pinned to the mat because he's putting weight down into them. This probably makes no fucking sense at all for everybody.
No, it makes absolute sense.
Do you know what I mean?
He would have
he just
to
does it out in the center, he does it up against the fence, which we don't see because most people get up against the fence.
Yeah. Something cool against that is an elbow Brian Ortega landed because there was a lot of pressure being generated. And I don't remember who it was he was fighting, but there was pressure being generated.
Thiago Tavares dropped him onto an elbow.
Yes, and he swiveled his hips and collapsed that frame in order to have his momentum come in and meet the elbow. I felt like that was beautiful. But it's very hard to do that swivel of the shoulders and collapsing the hips when your back's against or close to the fence. That's better as an out in the open.
Yeah.
Which maybe Zombie can do because that reversal of the takedown that he got was because there was a lot of space behind him and he was able to like roll the
the roll through against Poirier.
Yes, roll through.
Like I can see. So if I'm making an argument for both of them, like Korean Zombie's going to be able to walk Volkanovski down. He's going to be able to chop hard into his lead leg and take some of his movement away, back him up against the fence, and keep him right on the end of his arms to set him up for that uppercut, similar to what he did against Dennis Bermudez, where he slipped the jab and came up the center. If Volkanovski gets past that, then I think we're going to see knees, and I think we're going to see takedown defense. And if it hits the floor, in the process of it hitting the floor, Zombie's got darces that he can attack, guillotines that he can attack, and if he takes the back, we know he's got rear naked chokes, but he's also got, a variety of other things, the twister being good evidence of that.
Yes.
So for Korean Zombie, that's for me is the game plan. Back up against the fence, long range shots, rising attacks up through the center, and then take down the fence with neck attacks on the way in, with some knees in the process. For Volkanovski, it's lateral movement and chopping his lead leg until you take some of the mobility of Zombie away, and then you start backing him up against the fence with the same kind of strikes he was using against Aldo, where he was like rushing forward and going bam, 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 change angle, bam, bam, change angle, bam, like just kind of sweeps him up against the fence. And Aldo being a good counter striker, there was no moment where he was like, now's the time I'm going to go, because before he's thought about striking, he's being hit again. I could see Volkanovski being able to kind of sweep him up against the fence, but only by hitting him and pushing him back.
He's always giving you something to deal with.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the fight that we were watching with Jack Shore. That maybe Jack doesn't do as much like striking and forward pressure, but he's always giving you something to think and deal with that disrupts your rhythm and disrupts like the way you're getting on.
It's not he's not as erratic as Volkanovski. Volkanovski's got a real kind of side to side, and he does this like little shift with his head that he does as well. Head moves first, body follows, like a bit of a fucking breakdown. So, but he's constantly in motion in front of you, and then chops the inside, chops the outside, double kicks to the legs. Like
and Zombie's so heavy on the lead leg,
heavy on the lead leg
as well, just so he can land. The thing is, I feel like Zombie has more one punch power because of the way he throws his punches.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, like what was it? I think it was the one that he got really quickly within like first like 5 seconds or something. Like one of the
Mark
fastest.
Hominick.
Yeah, he went back, but he loaded so much on that leg and just shot straight through, kind of like a sprinter. He like loaded all the power onto his legs and shot straight into the chin, which, if you're throwing like looping shots, they land and they hurt like Gilbert Burns does, but they sometimes don't cause as much like one punch power.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Khamzat versus a Mershot that went straight one punch, which is, what he has.
It's like I need a drawing page on this, Jamie. We need to figure something out with this. So like think about two right hand knockouts or knockdowns. So you've got the Korean Zombie against Moicano. So here's Moicano. There's his jab. Oh, that's not very good.
It's one of the greatest knockouts I've ever seen.
There's his jab. Okay. So Korean Zombie's head is here, and the right hand comes over and through, right? If you watch the Elkins Volkanovski fight, Elkins' head's here, and Volkanovski comes over and clips it, like he just glances his chin. It's not like he doesn't follow through like the Zombie does. Like the point of difference, let me just make it a bit clearer. So like if they're the two fighters' heads, Korean Zombies goes through the chin. Volkanovski clips the chin.
It's like breaking a board.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Chung, because he
Gotta
does.
go through it.
He probably has broken so many boards growing up, because he's Korean. Doing taekwondo, that's one of the things that you have to do with like every belt testing and stuff.
For sure, but I also think it's like you were talking about earlier. I think it's his willingness to be in situations where other fighters won't be. Like every time, like the Moicano knockout's beautiful because he's got his eyes on him all the time. He slips him and he counters him perfect. Same thing with the Bermudez fight. He sees the jab coming, he slips it and goes straight underneath. He doesn't even blink when these shots are coming towards him. His eyes are locked on all the time. I just think it's his willingness to be in the trade, and I think that puts him in a really strong position against someone like Volkanovski, because he's not going to out footwork Volkanovski. Like the risk is his lead leg as he's walking him down. He's not going to out footwork Volkanovski. He's going to have to meet him and wait for him to come in. Volkanovski can be in and out and changing that range all the time, but at some point he's got to step close to Zombie, and every time he tries to throw, there's a potential Volkanovski's just going to trade it. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going Volkanovski by decision because I think his work rate and I think his overall game is enough to eke out a decision over Zombie, but I think he's really going to struggle to put him away.
You know what I find a little bit so shit for Zombie is that I think in an interview he talked about having a shoulder injury in December and wanting to fight later on in the year in order to fix that. And the Jose Aldo fight got stopped because remember his shoulder popped out. So imagine like your second title run. This time he's how old is he? 35. So probably like close to one of his last, and you have the same curse.
Situation. Yeah,
that's a curse. That's like both title fights with a shoulder injury. Like,
you know what was interesting? Because he was out for a while. Like his career's been kind of in two halves because he did military service for a couple of years. And it was after the Aldo fight. So when was that? So he fought Aldo in 2013 and lost by TKO. And then he came back in 2017 and knocked out Dennis Bermudez. Mm-hmm. But that period of time that he was out doing military service, they put him in an office situation because of his injuries. So that was interesting. So I don't know whether it was coming off the Aldo fight. His shoulder was so bad that he couldn't do any kind of military training.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, but if that's a lingering injury, I mean, shoulder injuries just stay with you, don't they? They
shoulders
don't
are
ever
a
get
tough
better.
one.
Like I dislocated my collarbone, like, I don't know, 40 years ago or something, and it still bothers me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I got to click out of there.
What's cool about him as well is that I don't think he's so determined by the fact that he's the Korean Zombie. Like when he fought Ige, he did a lot of smart strategic things by taking him down, getting his back and controlling him, and not going crazy to try to get a finish or to try and get a Zombie highlight, It shows a lot of maturity in his game. And also, I think in the gym he's at, training with like Henry and stuff, and yeah, like I really love and I really respect Henry. I don't like the cringe stuff so much. Just like I find that a little bit annoying, but you have to give him props.
He's
you gotta give him props for the coach. Like this guy's dedicated, and there's a reason why Mark has gone to him, and so many John Jones, Yuri Prochazka. There's a reason why so many great fighters go to him because he has that like very analytical type of mind. Mm-hmm. Like when you see Henry teaching these like wrestling moves, it was like Wrestling Tuesday or something. They're such detailed moves, and because he's so small, he has to be way more
technical.
Yeah, technical than anybody else.
Ideal kind of height and stature for someone that's fighting Volkanovski as well as a training partner.
Especially because Henry has had his eye on Volkanovski for a while now.
This would be a good test
calling
to see
him
where he's
out.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 5'6" to 5'7" and 71 to 72. So an inch in height and reach for the Korean Zombie. Yeah, I'm picking Volkanovski. I'm really looking forward to it because I think there's lots of ways that Korean Zombie can change the course of the fight.
Yeah.
But I think overall, Volkanovski's just going to be able to kind of outpoint him.
Yeah.
Just better him work rate and pace.
Yeah. I feel like with Volkanovski, you have to, like, he has to be out in order to stop. Like with Brian Ortega, how close of that. Yeah.
Same with both of them.
But I will say that Brian Ortega was able to kind of outpace Zombie, right? Yeah. He was able to like outwork him a little bit. Mm-hmm. Ortega did a great job in the 5th round, which the stats didn't show that he outstruck Volkanovski, but I felt like he did really good in that round. In that 5th final round, that he started to move more like he did against Zombie, and not so much, I guess, going for the championship also is an extra amount of pressure, but what he did against Zombie, I felt like he could have done against Volkanovski and would have had more success. Yeah, more success.
Yeah, for sure.
But that shoulder injury still is a little bit nerve-wracking for me, and the fact that he got kind of outworked with Brian Ortega, and Volkanovski will not put you in that position.
He's a faster pace than everybody he's fought before.
I mean, more than Max Holloway, and that's insane.
Yeah. So you're going with Volkanovski as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty. It's an interesting fight, but I'm.
Plus, I tagged him and he put the little heart, so that's it.
So you're best friends now.
Best friends.
Okay, so that is UFC 273 sorted. So where are we at? Let me just pull the card up. Oh, my ears have gone again. There's definitely something up with this. Okay, so here we go. It's back again. So, just to recap, so we've got Khamzat Chimaev, we're both going for Chimaev, we're both going for Petr Yan, and we're both going for Volkanovski.
Yeah, not a lot of differences in this card,
no,
unfortunately.
No, some good fights, but some quite clear-cut ones in my eyes. Okay, just a quick thank you for the sponsors before we wrap it. So NordVPN, go to nordvpn.com/outlawed or use the code outlawed at checkout. And you'll get a huge discount and a free month and a free gift, and it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So go and check it out. Take a digital vacation in London and watch some breakdown shows. Okay, and also Packed Coffee. Go to packedcoffee.com, PACT coffee.com, and create your flexible coffee subscription. If you use the code outlawed50 at checkout, you'll get 50% off your first and third order, and the coffee's, it's amazing coffee. It comes ground in however fine you need it, and
we finished ours so quickly as well.
I know, it went straight away, didn't it? I know, we're waiting on another one right now, and we've got the V60 coffee dripper, which you will get with your first order as well. You'll need one of these. It's got filters in it as well.
Yeah, it does.
It's got 100 something filters in it. Really good, really nice, clean way of brewing your coffee, and gives you that moment in the morning just to savor the smell of the coffee in the kitchen with your fancy kettle. And you just go. Okay,
you can't go over in the degrees of the water.
No, 200 degrees. 200 degrees. It's important.
Look at Jamie going yeah.
Jamie knows.
Jamie's such a hipster.
There you go.
Yeah.
Winner. We're on it. Okay. So, go to packcoffee.com and create your flexible subscription. The code is outlawed. All right. Good stuff.
Okay, bye.
All right. Catch you later. See you next time.